Well, welcome everybody back to Curse of Strahd, Twice Bitten, the show where 5 DMs take on D&D's top Gothic horror campaign. I'm Dragnacarta, your host and DM, and we are very glad to have you with us today.
Are you sure we can't just go back to playing Honey Heist? I'm pretty sure those characters were better equipped for the Amber Temple.
I mean, we are in the Amber Temple. We could do this. It's an option.
Could we have a reference, just a little, just somewhere? I want to know that Viktor Volakovich left an impact.
No. What we need is Bajilka with a gun.
Yes, Bajilka with a gun.
I mean, I presume that was what was waiting for us at the end of the temple anyway.
It is, actually, yes. She is there. She has a gun. She has several guns now, actually. And she will kill you all.
I'm picturing her with this whole armory of weaponry.
Yeah, she's got a full bandolero of bullets, like Rambo.
Yeah,
that's great.
Perfect.
Beautiful. Well, I'll tell you what. To whoever requested a shout out, I will, if I remember it, if you meet Ectothanter, I will do my best to describe his tattered robes as bathrobes.
We did it, boys.
I don't know if I can promise a towel on the head, but I'll try.
Did he ever get his milk bath installed?
I don't think he did.
That's a good question. I don't think so. It's tragic, really.
We were cruel to that poor boy.
We were. He deserved better.
He does.
Well. Well, I don't know how many ursines or pots of honey we can reasonably expect in today's episode, but I think we do have some other fun stuff lined up. So, with that all said, thank you everyone for coming, and let's get started with Curse of Strahd, Twice Bitten. Hello, and welcome back, everyone. Last we left off on Curse of Strahd, Twice Bitten. The companions had made their way toward the upper cliffs of Mount Gacchus, finding there the Ember Temple, seeking two things: the secrets of Strahd's vampiric power and immortality, and a means by which their ally, a new companion, Casimir, the Dusk Elf, could resurrect his deceased sister Petrina from the ancient dead beneath the crypts of Castle Ravenloft. As they explored the interior of the temple, they combated and dispatched Rahadin, Strahd's chamberlain, who had come to visit the temple for unknown reasons. After making their way further through the temple, they found themselves entering the main chamber, a central location in which they encountered the Guardian that dwelled within. Soon learning that Guardian to be an Arcanoloth and employing the power of the polymorph spells that Amity and Casimir had shared their ability to cast, the companions did battle with this Guardian. In that time, the two great beasts that Lillison and Metron had been polymorphed into raged across the central temple chamber as their companions assisted in their fight. After a long and arduous combat, they succeeded in defeating the Arcanoloth and looting the items that it left behind, including a strange patchwork robe and a spellbook of powerful magics. Making their way back once more out of the temple, taking Verhaden's corpse back with them, the companions dwelled for an additional evening, spending the night in the stone shelter forged by Casimir just outside of the temple's walls. The following morning, after a peaceful night's rest, the companions took a vote on whether or not to re-enter the temple and brave the dangers that lay within, or to depart down the mountain and bring themselves to face Strahd in his castle, deciding both ultimately that they were not yet prepared to attack the devil in Ravenloft, and agreeing that with the effort they exerted thus far, they had best complete their journey to assist Casimir in finding what he sought, as well as uncovering whatever lore might lay beyond. The companions agreed to venture back into the temple, searching for the items that they yet sought. And so, as the companions prepare themselves and begin to make their way back toward the temple, you see coming before you the frozen, dark stone staircase descending into the shadowy interior of the temple chambers.
Quick question. Kiva, did you take Rahadin's cloak?
Yes, Kiva did take the cloak. She is wearing it right now, along with the Elton John crystal sunglasses.
Aladrin John.
Aladrin John.
Okay.
She looks super hot. I just want to put that out there in the universe.
I just like to put out in the universe that I still think this is a really rotten idea, but if we're going to do it, we're going to do it.
I am in full agreement with Metreon. Really, really want to just move as quickly as possible if we can do that.
Oh, believe me, I'm in no hurry to spend more time here. Let's get what we need and get out of here.
Could say we're in a hurry to spend less time in here.
Ah, very good way of putting it.
Kiva just points a finger to her forehead, and Metreon brain link. You know what I mean?
Metreon smiles.
Lillison is just trudging along, staring mostly at the ground in front of her, but every so often just sneaking a cautiously hopeful look over at Casimir.
As you do, Lillison, you notice Casimir nodding along with Metreon and Kiva's conversation. Right, I reckon that none of us want to be here any longer than we have to. I think once we get inside, we're going to have to plan which areas we investigate first. After all, it's pretty sprawling. Now, if y'all don't mind, I might have a bit of a suggestion.
Yeah, we welcome it.
Those two doors on the floor, those chambers behind the big statue, seem to be in some kind of central place of interest. Given that we found a number of smaller chambers off to the sides, it's possible that what we're looking for might be there, but I think that anything adjoining the main temple might be safest place to start.
That does seem to be what the Guardian was specifically positioned to guard, so that's a good intuition. I like that.
He nods, but as he does, you hear David clear his throat. Right. That may be all well and good, but we've got places to be after this. You are still planning on striking at the castle, eh?
It's that or die trying.
Hopefully not dying. But if you are, might not be a bad idea once you've got whatever you came for, to nip on back to that little room with the castle model. Try to get a sense of the layout and plan an attack. You might not get a better chance to get intel on the layout before you find yourselves outside of Ravenloft's bridge.
Would be churlish to waste that opportunity. Yeah, you got a good point. Damn, wish I had some drafting paper.
I mean,
do you need
Amity.
paper for something?
I was thinking for an architectural sketch, but not sure how well I can do that in a time crunch.
Yes, Metreon?
I was just gonna say, if you had like an extra page out of your book, we could use, a blank page or something. Just use that. But
Yeah, sure. Amity goes to the back and tears a random page out for you.
I hand it off to Randy.
Oh, I always love this folktale. It's beautiful. Thanks, dear.
Use the blank side.
No, I'm not drawing all over your fairy tales, darling. I imagine you got most of these memorized. I wouldn't be surprised.
As they're talking about the book, Metron is going to go over to Kiva. Oi,
Yes?
can I see that cloak?
Are you going to steal this for me like you did with the glasses?
You're wearing the glasses, so obviously I ain't stealing them.
She gives you a little smirk and takes off the cloak.
Metron puts it on himself. Kind of looks around. All right, maybe this will serve as a little bit of armor for me, so to speak. And he, from his scalp, starts to tear his flesh and his hair off to reveal Rahadin's face.
Yeah, I like you much better as the pink guy, so maybe don't keep this forever.
I don't plan on it, darling.
Oh my god. Yeah, this is the worst thing I've ever seen, actually. She's putting on her glasses closer to her face. She's like, yeah, I definitely need the rose tinted glasses right now because this is a nightmare.
He turns to Randy and Casimir. Don't be alarmed now. Just, hoping that if they see me, they won't think to hit me. Because, I look like this. I'm talking like this, too.
You certainly are talking like that. I can't actually belittle it. It's not a bad accent.
I'm trying here.
Appreciate it. Oh, it's like a reverb. Oh, that's weird. All right, let's get moving. I don't want to. Oh, goodness. Shall we?
Okay, in that case, you proceed forward down the icy staircase and into the dark corridors. Kiva, I presume the sun sword is still lit and illuminating your path forward?
Hell yeah, it is, brother.
Beautiful. In that case, I would say as the first time that you've had a chance to venture into the temple at a peaceful rate by means of the main entrance, as you make your way into the structure, down the dark corridor, you see on either side arrow slits, dark, looking out on from either side of you down into the corridor where you now stand. And as you do, you can see that kind of peering very faintly for a moment through the arrow slit on the right-hand side, your eyes sweeping back and forth in an effort to notice anything that might pose a danger. You see, beyond the arrow slit, a small stone room. Slumped in the northeast corner, you see a skeleton wearing a blue wizard's robe and clutching a wand to its chest. Thankfully, though, it doesn't seem to be moving.
Can Kiva get a closer look? Is there a way to get in the room with the wizard or peek through it?
There doesn't appear to be, no. It seems looking, if you want, you can kind of peer through the arrow slit.
Yeah.
Look. Sure, you can kind of bring the sun sword up to form a sort of torch improvised to illuminate the inside of the room. It's a little cramped, trying to shove your face in there and the light source at the same time. But as far as you can see, it's just a bare stone room. No doors, no windows, just the arrow slits and the skeleton slumped in the corner.
Kiva does point this out to the group and just says, this place wouldn't be the first place that we encountered that had walls that appear out of nowhere and trap people, and it looks like this unfortunate fucker got stuck in here, so maybe we should be careful about what we touch and who we send first. And she'll sort of gesture to Muppet, keep him exploring in front because there might be trap rooms.
Do we still have Muppet?
Yes, we do. Amity sort of shivers at the premise of being trapped in a room, then nods and gestures Muppet forward. I'd like to clarify that Truffle is wearing a purple coat and is guarding Rahadin's corpse outside in the snow.
Fabulous.
Amazing.
Oh my god.
We gotta give him the glasses at some point.
Oh yeah. Oh my god. Is it possible that that whoever that is in there still has anything on them that we might be able to like grab and pull through the arrow slit?
It looks like he's got a cloak and a wand. I don't really see anything else though.
Lillison, you still got your mage hand on deck.
As you're saying this, Lillison is finishing casting her mage hand, and the little skeletal hand sort of like floats forward towards the slit.
Okay, you're able to fit the mage hand through easily enough, drift it through the arrow slit and toward the corpse. And there you find the skeleton is very nearly frozen in place with age and ice and dust covering it and a thin sheen of glittering frost. The wand is held rather tightly in its bony knuckles, but fortunately, you think your mage hand would be up to the task if you'd like to forcibly pull it away.
I would like to forcibly pull it away.
Okay. You twitch your finger, the mage hand echoing the motion. And as you do, it heaves away from the skeleton, pulling the wand away with it. And along with the wand, as you hear the snap of old, frozen, decayed bones, the skeleton's hand comes with it.
Ah, my hand has made a friend.
It sounds
I guess
quite
that's also a mage hand.
chilling.
Eva just looks over at Amity and is just like shaking her head with utter disappointment.
Oh, god damn it.
Yeah, Lillison's going to reposition her mage hand so that it looks like the two skeletal hands are sort of doing a tug-of-war over the wand, but because hers is the only one that is actually, active, it should not actually impede the attempt to pull the wand back through the arrow slit, right?
No, you're able to pull it out easily enough, and you do. The skeletal fingers still frozen together, the bones kind of flopping about and clacking a little bit as you see small chips of frost go flecking off into the dark, dusty air. But you are able to pull out the wand and the hand attached to it without over much difficulty.
What's the wand look like?
The wand itself... one second, let me check my notes here. The wand itself has two parts. The top half appears to be a simple, thin, narrow cone, almost needle-like, as an ordinary wand would. The lower half of the stem, as it were, instead splits into a double helix that spins around itself until it meets the very base, where there is a carved brass knot of sorts, with a strange serpentine rune carved across the very end of the base, facing downward. The entire thing seems to be constructed of some sort of bronze, brass-like metal, and it's, as per the cold of the temple, quite chilled to the touch.
Interesting. Does it look magical?
Many things look magical. It looks interesting. If
You
any
know
of you
what
know
I
detect
mean.
magic, or you'd like to ask Casimir to cast it, he can do so.
Okay, does it look like something more than a mundane wand? That's a better question.
It's certainly not the kind of wand that you would find in the bargain bin. If it's not magical, someone certainly paid a good amount of money to have this commissioned.
Interesting. Ooh, good find, Kiva.
I mean, good for you. I don't know how to use it.
Now I was thinking this should go to someone else. I've already gotten my cool magic stuff already. And he proudly flaps the robe. Plus, I'm fond of this wand. My dad helped me make it.
I mean, maybe we just try to sell it if no one else wants to use it.
It works for me.
I mean, is there any way you can, like, tell us what kind of magic's in there?
It takes time. I'd have to sit down with it for an hour.
Oh, we'll sit down with it after this, and then, if you want to keep it, you keep it. If not, we junk it.
Works for me.
Maybe we just jump that road. You could take the wand.
Hey, I
I'm
like
sorry.
this. It's
I'm
warm.
sorry. It's a crime against fashion, but it's fine. I mean, it's fine. We'll keep going.
There you go. Shall we
Actually,
keep-
Kiva, do you mind if I borrow that scimitar? Just, to kind of keep the illusion going.
I think Earthrendeer has it.
Yeah, Kiva doesn't have it.
Oh, Earthendeer, you mind?
I do want it back, but here.
I don't intend on keeping it. I just, to keep up appearances.
No, good plan. Maybe you could somehow manufacture the choir of the screams of the damned around yourself, really add to that authenticity.
Are you going to eat a frog too, or is that not part of the illusion?
Metrodin looks at Kiva and glares.
I think that one's still hopping around. You can get Amity to detect beasts.
What are we supposed to be getting out of here?
Right.
How is Casimir reacting to Metrodin?
He is looking very bemusedly at Rahadin. For a moment, I would say that you, Lilith, noticed that when he started talking, like a few minutes ago, you saw him kind of wince and kind of raise a hand as if to say something, and then just thought better of it.
Lillison will remember this.
He just seems to be kind of going with it. He doesn't seem to be making eye contact with Metreon now. He seems to be kind of just pointing his gaze forward and avoiding looking at him directly.
Metron turns to Casimir. You ready to go?
I imagine that we should be good to proceed. And at this point, he steps forward out onto the black balcony, glancing back toward the rest of you, and holds out a hand toward it. Shall we head down the stairs and investigate those chambers behind where the statue was?
By all means.
Okay. In that case, as you descend the stairs, who's holding onto the wand? And are you keeping the skeleton hand?
I think for now, Lillison's mage hand is still holding the wand with the skeleton hand on it for like the next minute.
Okay, very fair. You carry it along with you, the frozen bones gently clacking atmospherically as they follow. Together, you descend the black stone steps, entering your way down into the large temple below. The yawning darkness slowly recedes as the brilliant radiance cast off by the sun sword in Kiva's hands pushes it back, inch by inch, foot by foot. It's not long before the twin dark stone pillars rising up at the northern end of the temple come into view, and beyond them, the dark pile of smashed rubble that Lillison had left behind of the statue after her outburst against it in her giant ape form, bramble beast form, the previous day. Looking up ahead, behind this pile of rubble, in addition to the other pile of rubble left behind by the collapsing balcony on the left-hand side that you remember not so fondly, you see 4 doors. The 2 doors up on the second floor with the balconies, or what's left of the balcony, leading to them. And on this lower floor, 2 entryways to other chambers. On the left side, you see a place where amber doors that perhaps once filled the opening have no visibility or presence. Instead, there is simply a large gap in the wall leading to another chamber. On the opposite, toward the opposite end of the northern wall on the right side, you see another pair of double amber doors, quietly closed shut.
There looked to be
Would you like
anything
to
that would block
investigate
us
first?
from. There looked to be anything that'd block us from just walking to that pair of closed double doors.
Not as such. There is a bit of rubble and smashed bits from the statue that have made their way over there. It was a fairly large statue, and it's filling a large part of the northern central part of the temple. You kind of have to climb over the excavation to get yourself to the other side. But it doesn't look too treacherous, and you think you should be able to make your way over there and inspect them more closely if you would like.
Then, yeah, once we've sent Muppet forward to ensure nothing's about to explode, Aerith will do that.
Okay, Muppet lurches forward, drooling a little bit of grayish black blood. The zombie doing its best to clamber over the rubble, but very clearly and quickly failing to get more than 2/3 of the way up without more clear direction. I'd say that you're able to walk him around it and guide it after a few moments of effort. You see Muppet, Amity's undead zombie companion, standing before the closed double amber doors. There doesn't seem to be anything of impact that happens.
All right. In that case, Aerith's gonna clamber over the rubble and rap on the door, checking for another arcane lock.
Okay, you rap on the door and you hear the echo of the amber throughout this small open space. You look down to the handle and test it briefly, and as you do, you see appearing before you the familiar appearance of blue ethereal chains crisscrossing the double doors. Rather than veins of black energy crackling through them, you see veins of grayish silver white, so pale as to be nearly transparent, flickering through the chains of ethereal blue.
Interesting. This one doesn't seem to be guarding something as malevolent. Let me give this a shot, as Aerith slashes his wand through the air and the familiar motions of Dispel Magic.
Okay. The spell crackles through the air before you and tears away at the magical chains, dissolving them into mist as they plunge down toward the ground and dissipate across the black stone floor.
All right. In that case, Aerith will ask Amity to give Muppet some discreet directions about door opening and then step back about 24 feet.
Yeah, I guess just push on it. I don't know whether this looks like a push door, but, Amity crouches behind the statue's base as Muppet pushes this thing open.
Muppet pushes the door and then moans unhappily. It seems to be a full door.
Try pulling. Is there anything to? Is there like a knob? Is there something to pull?
There's not a knob, but there's kind of an indentation that serves as a handle. It could probably use that. You've seen a few of these kinds of doors in here.
Alright, just stick your hand in the mail slot and try not to lose it in there.
Kind of nods, turns back toward the door, and using both hands, kind of pulls, taking a stiff step back at a time, in what is the most unpleasant appearance of a butler imaginable, and just kind of holds the door open, its head lolling unpleasantly to one side.
When Amity speaks and gives the order, I'd say that Kiva and Lillison can see Metreon holding something back, like trying not to say something.
Kiva just raises an eyebrow at him. Doesn't press if he doesn't want to, whisper, but does look curious.
I promise I'll be good.
Yeah, no, of course. But if you want to be an asshole later, you know where to find me, so.
He leans in. I'll stuck my hand in the mail slot too, and he starts to walk away.
Kiva, chokes for a moment, and just starts coughing and, goes purple, because that's what happens when you're blue and you go red in the face, so it's very funny.
On that note, as your very happy to please zombie is holding the door open, would anyone like to take a look inside?
Yes.
Yeah, sure. Lillison first,
Right.
I think.
Lillison creeps forward. She has been, doing her usual, being very quiet and keeping rather far away from the party thing, but she is doing that even more so today. And when she is going up towards this opening, she's almost sort of making an effort to edge around everybody instead of going straight through.
Does this seem like more exaggerated than usual?
A bit more, yeah.
Okay. Keep a note of that.
Mm-hmm.
Peering inside Lillison, you see, first in the dimly lit parts that are faintly illuminated by the fading light of Kiva's sunsword, and through your dark vision, peering forth into the dark recesses of the chamber, you see that within this chamber, piles of treasure are heaped against the west and east walls of this stone room. A 10-foot statue, carved from amber in the likeness of a hawk-headed humanoid, stands in a wide alcove to the north. Behind it, a crack has formed in the wall.
Does this statue look like the Guardian we've already smashed?
Very reminiscent of it, yes.
Metron spits at it.
What do you see?
Lillison...
Or go ahead.
No, you.
What do you see in the... Oh, my goodness. That is a lot of money. And oh, that's a golem. Oh, great, splendid, wonderful.
Lillison looks down at her hands, looks at the wand that her mage hand is still holding, goes and pulls her dagger like about an inch out of its sheath, and then lets it fall back again. And she says, I think we should make sure that that thing is either inactive or can be made inactive.
DM, does it look like the golem could fit through the amber doors that we just went through?
Very much so. It would have to stoop just a tiny bit, but it would very easily be able to fit through.
How about the doors behind that? With the piles of rubble and junk.
I mean, there are no other doors unless you mean the ones all the way to the south end of the temple, which you haven't yet investigated.
Ah, gotcha. Okay. In that case, Aerith will look at Lillison and nod. All right. Second verse, same as the first. Then we all get some distance, treat it like that tree, and blast it till it comes to us.
Yes, I think so.
Good stuff.
You watch as Esmeralda leans down to the floor, picks up a rock of rubble from the ground, tosses it in her hand a few times, and then you see it, as she whispers a word, light up with a bright, burning illumination. If nothing else, it might be good to give ourselves a good target, yes? Make some distance? And she kind of skids it across the floor before it comes to a stop at the golem's feet.
Does the golem react to this at all?
It does not. She relaxes and kind of looks back toward you. Okay. So that seems about right.
Mr. Golem, you don't happen to be friendly and helpful or anything? Yeah, okay, thought not. I don't know if Muppet and I will be very helpful, but I will definitely try to insult it a few times.
Hey, anything that stops us from getting mushed into a fine pace is appreciated. Thank you.
I mean, ideally, we're all far enough back and just sort of letting it chase us that it's never useful at all, but yeah.
Also works. All right. Let's get into position then. As Aerith sort of starts organizing firing lines of a sort. All right, so I think I remember Metreon, don't think his dagger could hurt this thing, so I imagine the bow folks aren't going to be of too much use unless one of you has a secret ancestor's magical crossbow that you've been keeping from us. So,
No, and last time it punched me in the back of the head, so if anything, I'm just going to be firing those little bolts that I do at it.
Reasonable. So I think we have me, Kiva, Ez, and Ismark at the front to catch the brunt of the wave, and everybody else doing various magic shit.
I mean, I planned on just going right up there and just hitting it until it stops moving, so
That also works. I was thinking to give us some time to let it come to us, but if you want to take the brunt for a bit, then, well, it's your choice.
I'm feeling frisky today, why not?
You know what? Hell, I might join you. Or wait, no, damn it, I don't have a working sword. Alright, have fun, and good luck.
Kiva just grins. Feral.
And Aerith will give her a die of bardic inspiration for the road.
Yay!
Sweet.
That one's up to no good.
Well,
We're gonna do this?
let's rumble. That's a 17 on initiative.
20!
Alright, if everyone would like to roll initiative then.
22.
I will also roll on the spirit table.
Ooh. Oh, I didn't realize that my icon got changed. I love that. Thank you.
Oh, that's great.
Oh, that's terrible.
Like, given that we're initiating this combat, do we like choose what order we go in, or are we just using this initiative?
So you would have to still roll initiative, but you can, ready actions until after someone else is already gone.
Fair enough.
Hey, Amity, I think that thing certainly looks like a... Amber's probably a type of crystal, right? You think your shatter would do a number on that sucker?
I do, but if it's anything like the last one, are we in enough danger to warrant that, or are we just gonna run away and just sort of smash at it while
Up
it
to you.
helplessly fails to reach us?
Depends heavily on Kiva and how well she avoids being smushed.
Well, I thought the consensus was to just try and take it down because, it can move through the doors and it doesn't seem like one of those things that's not going to stop hunting us.
Reasonable. Then yeah, it probably is worth it, but up to you, dear.
Nah, it's Amity's turn, and she's just gonna ready a vicious mockery. Maybe in a future turn she could shatter, but it's not worth it.
Understandable. Have a nice day.
Okay, we're just going to take a quick second here for technical difficulties. Sorry, our producer Zio is just reloading some things, so hold on tight for a second. Okay, we are back. Thank you all for the patience. All right, so everyone forming a lineup of sorts outside of the temple. I see we've got Earthrendir, Esmeralda, and Kiva at the front lines, with Metrion not far behind. Ismark will move up alongside you. Is that where you want to stake your position?
Think so, yeah.
If Kiva was planning on rushing, would her turn be the movement to rush in, or would we have had time to position ourselves?
Yeah, that's a good question, because I have 40 feet of movement, but I can't really see how far away the guy is right now.
So, is your current plan to hold the line here and wait for it to come to you, as with
No,
before?
she's going right in to just hit it.
Esmeralda clears her throat. I think that it might work out better if we can bring it to us. It gives us more time to pelt it from afar. Would that be okay?
True, but I think Kiva's spoiling for a fight, and I'm not inclined to not give it to her.
It's up to y'all, whatever you guys want to do.
Rush in, love.
Yeah, fuck him up.
You did
Fuck
it last
up, I
time.
guess.
All right, yeah. So, it depends on what Dragna says as far as movement and prep time.
Yes, so if you ready in action, you can use it to move or use an action, but not both.
Right, but so before
I would say for the
combat
sakes
starts,
of this.
she couldn't move. That's what I'm asking. Like, she couldn't be up there and be waiting for her turn.
So combat starts as soon as it starts. So if you want the start of combat to be Kiva taking a swing at this thing while 2 other people are standing next to her, that's perfectly acceptable. And that's when we would enter initiative order. Your attack would not take place until then.
So we can position ourselves anywhere we like until Kiva takes her first swing.
Okay, amazing.
Unless it attacks you. You never know.
Yeah, unless
never
this
know.
thing has a trigger to like come to life when somebody steps inside or something like that.
We've played the campaign.
Yeah,
we don't know this.
My plan was just for Kiva to step inside the room and see what happens. As far as triggering it moving or stuff.
All right, Esmeralda will stand up right behind you. Is Earthrendir coming as well?
Not. Or, actually, fuck it, I'll have some fun. He'll join.
Okay. You step inside the room, Kiva, and it makes no move to respond.
Okay. Can she get closer?
You can indeed. Would you like to make your way all the way to the front of the statue?
Let's go.
All right, make your way forward. Esmeralda will accompany you. She kind of looks up at it. You know, it's kind of an ugly fucker. I don't think I'll mind taking it down.
Yeah, no, I feel like for all of the architecture, they really could have spent some time on making them look better, you know?
Probably. And she nods toward you with a smile and a nod. After you?
All right. So for starting, I just get my 1 attack? Or do I
you get no attacks, but you get to start attacking it.
Great, that's what she's going to start
As soon as it notices your aggression, that's where we enter initiative. So
amazing, that's what's
pull out
happening.
your sun sword and start bringing it down?
Hell yeah.
All right, as soon as you do, Amity, you notice the golem beginning to grind, shifting its massive amber limbs, turning down to face her. We are now in combat. Amity, what are you doing?
Oh, geez. Why are people starting this in melee? Amity, like, steps forward a little, and just close enough to do a vicious mockery. Like, oh no, you're too far away to reach us. It has to make a wisdom save.
Okay, it will do so with advantage. That is a 5.
A 5 with that's with advantage?
It is.
Okay, I think it probably still doesn't take any psychic damage, but it does have disadvantage on its attack.
All right, just remind me on its next turn.
Cool.
I will do my best to remember. Okay, with that, Lillison, you're up.
All right, Lillison has positioned herself very carefully so as to be able to hit it with an acid splash from where she is.
All right.
So, dex save, please.
That is a 19.
All right, that passes, so nothing happens.
All right, as Amity's words ring through the darkened treasure chamber, there is a bubble of reddish acid that steams up against the side of the golem, but it keeps grinding forward, unrelenting. Is that the end of your turn?
That's... Lilson looks at Metrodine and narrows her eyes at the statue and then realizes the statue is way too far away for her to do her mastermind thing and just shrugs at Metrodine. That's the end of her turn.
Okay, Ismark's turn is next. He will glance over toward Amity and Lawson. If I remember correctly, the last time we faced this thing, normal weapons didn't do jack against it, right?
It seemed not.
Alright, I'm going to stay here. In case it comes any closer. Alright, Kiva, you're up.
All right. So, Kiva is going to bonus action rage and then take 2 hits at it with the sun sword.
Remember
Go for
you
it, but
get
first, give me a
your-
roll on that Wild Surge. Let's get that Barbarian Rage action.
I apologize. My push to talk is a little slow, so if you're not hearing me
All
right
good.
away, that's why. All right, so
All
it's a
good.
3 on the Wild Surgeon. Let's see what that does. I hope it's something fun. I don't normally. Oh, it's my usual. It's my flump pixie little
Oh,
guy.
yay!
Yay! The pixie's back. Okay. So she's gonna rage and then take the 2 attacks with the Sun Sword.
All right, go for it.
So that's a 27 to hit.
A 27, that will hit. Roll some damage.
9 points of radiant damage.
Very nice.
And then
Take your second
number
attack.
2 is a 25.
That'll hit.
And then 10 points of radiant damage. So 19 altogether. And then I'm going to explode the pixie. And let's see what their save has to be for this guy. It's a dex save.
All right, dex save. It is not particularly dexterous, so let's see what happens.
Come on.
And this is still magic, I believe, right? So we would have advantage on this.
Yes. Yeah.
That is a 10. I believe that's a failure.
Yes! All right, let me explode my pixie here. That's, oh my god, 6. Okay, perfect.
All right,
So-
6 force damage, right?
Yes. Oh, that's a good turn. And then she's gonna respawn the pixie right next to it again, just in prep for her next turn.
All right, very good. With that, Earthreader, you see Kiva swipe forward, slashing twice across the thing's torso, melting through part of the ember with the radiance of the sun sword. The pixie apparating through the air as her eyes glimmer with a brilliant fey blue and green, and then exploding, causing it to stagger and giving you an opening to attack. What are you doing?
He's using the stagger and the off balance to raise his wand and fire 4 magic missiles at the thing, knowing that can probably bypass this thing's magic resistance.
All right, roll me some damage.
Yes, sir. Okay, so that is 16 damage total.
All right, from short range, the 4 spiraling arcane darts whiz through the air and smash against this thing, forcing it to stagger once more. However, as it does, its gaze lifts up toward the 3 of you, and its eyes flare with an eldritch arcane light.
Good.
Unless there's anything else that you have on your turn?
Just to start the magic of the blade song. He was looking to get hit. This is all is going according to plan.
Alrighty. With that, the thrumming song of the blade begins to sing through the air of the chamber as the golem turns toward the 3 of you. Its dead-eyed gaze sweeping out across this chamber. It brings its massive palms together and slams them together as a burst of slow-moving, distorted air oozes out across each of you. I need both of you and Esmeralda to make a wisdom saving throw, please. As it uses its slow.
That's a 1.
Ugh.
Esmeralda succeeds. Kiva, what about you?
What save is this? Wisdom? Oh,
Wisdom,
God.
please. Kiva's wise.
16?
Just barely missed it. I'm sorry.
Oh,
DC
no!
was
Bardic
17.
You do have Bardic
wait,
Inspiration.
yes! What's your inspiration?
It's a D8.
Does Bardic Inspiration have to be used before you know the result?
Oh,
No.
yeah, oh, really?
Really?
Oh my god,
Oh.
18 then.
That will do it. You are not slowed. But
Oh,
Earthwinder,
nice.
you are. You cannot use reactions. Your speed is halved. You cannot make more than 1 attack on your turn. And you can either use an action or a bonus action on your turn, but not both. You can repeat the wisdom save at the end of each of your turns.
Chill.
All right, that is the end of its go. Metreon, or Texadin, as I suppose I should call you. It's your move.
All right. So looking at this big ugly thing, Metreon is going to go ahead and, knowing that his arrows don't do jack against it, he's going to go ahead and just fire a couple Eldritch Blasts at it.
All right, go for it. I will say, no, it's plenty tall enough. It doesn't have any cover against you. It's towering above your friends.
That's a 20 to hit.
A 20 will hit. Roll some damage for me.
So that's 6 plus 3, so 9 force damage.
9 points of damage, very nice.
And then another one.
Another one. All right, let's see what you get.
Nope, a 10.
A 10. Unfortunately, the first one slams into the side of it, staggers for a moment, but then as the second one spirals through the air, it slaps to the side. It spirals out of control and smashes into the amber-sheathed wall to the side of it. Only one connected.
And then, just as a free action, he'll look over at up at the amber golem. Hey, big boy, why don't you come out of here? We got more friends. And I'm gonna use my movement just to get behind here. And that's my turn.
All right. Casimir or Irina will take the dodge action, giving way to Casimir's turn. Casimir will follow in Earthrender's footsteps, taking a step off to the side by Lillison, just close enough to see it, and then release a spiraling array of 4 arcane darts as he casts Magic Missile at second level. Okay. That's going to be 3 times 4, 12 points of force damage that slam against the side of it, pushing it further back against the wall of the alcove. That is the end of his turn. Amity, I presume your zombie is... Does it act on your turn in combat, or does it have its own turn? And are you planning on using it?
I don't remember, but I'm not planning on using it. It's for sussing out traps and stuff, not for immediately dying to enemies.
Very fair. In that case, Davian will take the dodge action, kind of looking down mournfully at his crossbow and then shaking his head. And Esmeralda will begin her turn. She will whip out her rapier and her hand axe, and as usual, go to work tearing this thing apart. Let's see how she does, ladies and germs. First attack is a 23 to hit, dealing 12 points of damage. Second one's another 23, also hitting, dealing 10 points of damage, and attacking with the hand axe is a 21 to hit. 3 attacks carving across this thing's amber sides. For a total of 7 plus 10, that's 17. 29 points of magical weapon damage. Finding the places where Kiva had slashed open in the face shape of an X on its chest, she darts forward, piercing toward it and splitting the gouge further with each furious attack. That is the end of her turn, and we are back at the top of the round with Amity.
Okay, Amity will step a little bit forward and cast the familiar spell Shatter. But as she does, it is not the big bad wolf that rushes forth to slam into this golem, but this army of shrieking ghosts given form.
The rest of you watch as this horde of spirits streak through the air toward the golem, writhing together, and then their keening pitch rises to a crescendoing whine that hurts your ears as you twist, as the very volume of the sound makes it almost a physical force. It makes a con save, right?
A con save and advantage and disadvantage cancel.
Where's the disadvantage coming from?
Is it made of inorganic material? I guess amber isn't listed in that list, so I'm not certain.
It is... Let me check the text. No, yes, it is inorganic material. Amber is inorganic. It is disadvantage. This is a normal roll. Very good. I have never seen that aspect of the spell come into play. I love it.
The pedant in me is crying right now.
Unfortunately, that's a 21 to save.
Then it takes only 10 shatter damage.
All right, as it does with the trio of attackers slashing across it, and this series of attacks pelting it from afar. You see the cracks beginning to spiderweb stretching across its surface. You watch as the beak, formed of amber atop its face, cracks and slowly begins to slide off the front of its face, leaving this dark, gaping, gouging hole where it once used to lie. It's looking pretty beat up. Is that the end of your turn?
Yes.
All right, Lilison, you're up. What's going on?
All right, Lillison is going to notice that we seem to be pinning this thing in place, and will move up. Pausing just inside the doors, she is going to thrust out her hands and send another bubble of acid flying forth.
All right, let's see how it does. That is a 12. I think that's a failure. Roll me some damage.
That is going to be 6 damage. And she is also going to give the thing a very critical eye, and then does Ez look like she's going to attack or cast on her turn?
She looks like she's pretty into attacking at the moment.
Okay. She's going to look very hard for a moment at the statue's left foot, and then she is going to say, "Ez, left ankle," and that's her turn.
She shoots you a nod and a grunt and whirls to parry away another attack as the golem's fist smashes through the air above where her head was. Do remind me at her turn to make sure that I get that down.
Yep.
That is marked to take the dodge action. Kiva, you're up. You've got this thing on its back legs. It is pinned against the wall of this alcove. What's going on?
Oh,
Also, you have a pixie.
you know, we're gonna do 2 attacks and a pixie explosion, man.
All right, let's do it.
25!
All right, and we're recklessing this, right?
Hell yeah, we reckless every time.
All right, beautiful. 25 will hit. Give me some radiant damage.
6 radiant damage.
All right, 6 damage. Make the second attack.
23.
That will certainly hit. This time, bringing the sunsword up and driving it directly home, shearing off a large chunk of amber just below its left forearm, leaving only a stump in the place where its left hand used to be.
10.
What's the damage? 10 damage. Beautiful.
Oh, love it.
All right, and give me the pixie.
Needs
That's,
to make a
that's
dex.
All right, let's see
save.
how it does.
Come on, low rollers.
Let's see, that is... Rolling with advantage, that is a 6.
Ah!
2 6s, not making this up.
That's a 2, so it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. We did it. It explodes, and then it respawns, and it's just ready
Beautiful.
to keep exploding.
Love it. There's another shattering of force as the cracks continue spreading across the Amber Golem's neck, causing more shards and chunks to begin splintering and falling off, where they startle a large cloud of dust onto the floor. It's staggering back now. Its fists and, one good fist and the chunk bit of forearm waving wild through the air as it struggles to regain its balance. It is Erthrindir's turn. You are slowed. What's going on?
So, Aerith is following up on his magic missile with another, but it is comically slowly, to the point where the glyphs of the familiar rune, you can actually watch them sort of float lazily in the air as he finishes the incantation. And I think the magic missiles are similarly slow moving, but they do hit their mark.
They are. It's kind of funny to watch them kind of crawling through the air. You know those old arcade games where you see the missiles going across the screen blip?
Yep.
It's like that, but they pack just as much destructive force as they slam into its side. Roll me some damage. And what level is this?
The first 4, 12 total.
All right, 12 total.
And I don't have a bonus action, so let's see if I'm still...
Let's find out. Give me that wisdom save.
I'm back. 17.
All right, Erthrindir's back, baby. You see him kind of slow for a moment, his hand still outstretched as though casting the missiles forward, and then there's kind of that comical VHS fast forwarding effect where it's and he's instantly back moving at normal speed.
Phenomenal.
All right, with that, it is the golem's turn. It is going to turn around to the targets around him. Seeing Earthrender, Kiva, and Ez, and noticing Kiva being the most aggressive toward it, is going to raise up its chunked fist and bring it slamming down toward her. It's going to attack you twice with its slam attack.
And it gets advantage, remember? Just because of the...
Yes, it does. Thank you for the
reckless.
reminder. First attack is an 18.
Hits.
No, it isn't.
I love it.
Cutting words, I presume?
Cutting words. Why am I always cocky with this? It always hurts me. That's a 1. That still hit.
Yeah, it still hits. It's okay.
That's
it's okay.
unfortunate.
I appreciate the effort, that's all.
It's all right. It's Barovia. We're here just to suffer. It's great. All right, so that's going to come slamming down in your head. You hear Earthrender utter a word, and for a moment, its concentration disrupts and wavers, but the fist comes crashing down right on the space, clipping you across the back of the neck. Not fast enough in time to get away from it. Let's see the damage. Oof, that is 23 points of damage.
Half to 11?
12.
12?
Yep.
Great.
All right. Still raging, kind of bring up the sun sword, grunting, a fierce blazing light in your eyes as you struggle to keep it from closing its massive hands around your neck, and then it brings the stumpy arm back up and slams it against the side of your torso like a freight train. Let's see how it does.
Come on, low rolls.
That is an 18.
Hits.
All right, let's see the damage. That's a lot of damage. 22 points of bludgeoning damage.
We're fine. We're coasting right now.
Beautiful. All right, so ends its turn. Metreon, as you watch it pummeling Kiva, it is your turn.
I actually can't see that yet, but when I step out into the door, I do see it. Bam, bam, Eldritch Blast.
All right, give it to me.
Nope, that's an 11. But that's a 23.
23 will do it. Roll me some damage.
Oh, are you kidding me? It's going to be a whopping 4 points of force damage.
All right, as it ducks down to hit Kiva, it actually completely accidentally dodges out of the way of the first one. The second one slamming across the sides of its shoulder, but just clipping, unfortunately, the amber armor that protects its... I don't know if it has internal organs, but it's got something in there. And unfortunately, it only takes the 1 damage.
You all good in there?
Kiva's a little battered, but we're fine.
Living the dream! She's just like screaming and being more feral.
Right.
Perfect.
And Metron will sneak back to his little position, and that's his turn.
All right. Metron's turn is over. Arena's going to take the dodge action. Casimir is up. He's going to fire off another magic missile. This time, let's do first level. That's going to be 4 times 3. Another points of 12 force damage, spouting through the air and slamming into this thing's neck. It's looking so close to falling apart. Davian will take the dodge action with his turn, and it is Esmeralda's turn. Bringing up her rapier in hand axe, she turns back toward Leviathan and gives her a nod. And then swipes to the ground, kind of ducking down and swirling like a whirlwind as her rapier jabs twice at the weak point of the ankle, where you see splintering cracks have emerged. That is a 17 to hit, which hits, dealing 11 points of damage. She strikes a second time. With a 22 to hit, that is certainly going to hit, dealing some damage. 10 points of damage. And then bring it around for a third time with a scream of fury, bringing the hand axe overhead and slamming it down toward the thing's chest. 16, unfortunately not fast enough, as the thing's remaining hand comes up through the air and catches her arm, squeezing its massive fingers around her as she grunts and struggles to free herself, the golem staring down passionately toward her. In that moment, Amity, you're up. What are you doing?
I guess Amity is just going to go for another vicious... Yeah, it's just going to succeed the save. Amity's just going to shatter, I guess. I don't think Amity has anything useful here. But he needs to make a Constitution saving throw again.
All right, let's see how it does as the horde of shrieking spirits spirals through the air once more toward it. That is a 14. It fails. How much damage is that?
That's 20.
Ooh.
How does Amity want to do this?
Ooh.
Oh, I see. Okay. So as this army of like wailing ghosts collides with it, it just sort of like starts shaking, like it's one of those like bridges in an earthquake that like has harmonic resonance, and then just the shakes grow in amplitude until it just explodes.
And that it does, bursting with a crack like lightning, sending hundreds, if not thousands, of amber shards in every direction, each of you forcing to get down to the ground, covering your faces with your hands and covering your eyes. And when you look at what remains, you see only a pair of amber feet, jagged from the shin up, very faintly smoking where the golem once stood.
Amity, did you just find this thing's harmonic resonance and blow it up?
I guess so.
That was the coolest fucking thing I've ever seen.
First of all, thank you. Second of all, I feel like this is not the first time you've said that about something I've done, and it can't just keep going up.
It does, just
It
like
has to
you
be
get more
the
beautiful every
third-
day.
Amity looks at the ground like, ugh. Well, okay. At some point, I feel like the compliments become false, but I do believe you, and thank you.
Maybe, but they're not false yet. Damn well done.
Speaking of the most beautiful thing I've ever seen, and Metron gestures wildly at kind of like the John Travolta Pulp Fiction meme at all the piles of treasure.
Kiva is already scooping gold into her bag.
Yeah, what
Like,
is
armful.
this treasure, Dragna?
Take.
What kind of treasure are we looking at? What
So,
are in these
Describe it
piles?
lovingly.
There are
Please.
6 piles of treasure. Move your token to whichever one you would like to look at first.
Oh god, there's too much pressure. I guess pile
So-
4.
We all agree that Muppets going in first, Amity says, as everyone has already just shoveled.
Yeah, like they're like I'm assuming like half the party is already doing the Scrooge McDuck thing and just like swimming through these piles of coins and treasure.
Yeah,
This is
Metron
not
totally
inaccurate.
forgot about that time he touched that. You
Yeah,
were,
100%.
yeah.
We are. She's just taking what she can.
All right, so going down the line, we'll start off with Metreon. Looking at your pile, you see that it seems to have a number of interesting objects within it. You see, first off, a pile of iron ingots, a ludicrous amount of iron ingots. You see scattered throughout a number of strange symbols with, you notice a platinum icon carved with a dragon's face. You see what seems like a sunburst, and another one you see what looks like a skull carved of black obsidian hanging from a chain. Within the pile, you see a number of copper chalices with silver filigree kind of scattered haphazardly throughout the pile, interwoven with the iron ingots, as well as a number of warhammers and war picks scattered throughout. And sitting atop the pile, gazing directly into your eyes, a gilded skull with red garnets in its eye sockets.
Metron will kind of be rifling through the bottom, kind of chucking some of the stuff that he's not as interested in, like the warhammers and the picks. But then, as he does, he catches what's on top and screams like a banshee and scuttles back on his butt across the floor.
You slam right into Amity,
Yes.
and Amity slams into Muppet, and Muppet goes spilling across the pile of treasure just behind it.
Gross.
Oh, what is that? What is that? Is that one of them things? Is that one of them things? He starts pointing at the skull with the gems in his eyes.
The skull continues to stare blankly forward, not moving.
Kiva, can you just hit it with the sun sword real quick?
Wait, Muppet, pick up the skull. See if it explodes.
Muppet, Azabi can't do things begrudgingly, but you think it might look faintly begrudging as it kind of gets up onto its feet once more, pulling itself out of the treasure, a few coins still caught in random places around its body and rotted clothing, and just trudges across the low, and then reaches forward with both hands and very stiffly picks up the skull from the top of the pile. The skull utterly fails to do anything of note. Muppet turns and holds the skull out toward you.
Kiva, if you don't mind, just like stick the tip of the sun sword in there. Just make sure it's not like gonna do anything.
Yeah, Kiva will like lightsaber wah wah over the over the skull a few times.
All right. You kind of wave it over the skull a few times, testing for any sort of reaction. It does not seem to react. Seems to just be a skull.
I think you might just want to take the gems out of this and toss the skull aside, love.
Well, I mean, if the skull's gold and he takes it from Muppet, I mean, if the skull's gold, I can smelt it down or something, and puts it in his bag. Just make sure we can come get this stuff on the way back, because we don't want to weigh ourselves down. Just get this good stuff now. I mean, no one's going to take it anyway, right?
We need to optimize our weight to value ratio. That's what all the adventurers I read talked about. You gotta make sure you get the stuff that's gonna have value back home, but not gonna weigh you down.
Well, no, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying we just, wait until we get what we came for, and when we come back, we just take this all out. We just use coats, we use nets, we use, maybe we'd find some other zombies.
Yeah, normally I'd be a little unhappier about robbing somebody, but given these bastards have killed one of our own and also have a literal pile of treasure, I'm not too fussed.
Randy, how many times I gotta tell you? It ain't robbery. It's compensation.
For once, I think I actually agree with you. Now, what's in my pile?
In your pile, you first see a mass of what seem like thousands of gold pieces, and then you pick one up, and it feels strangely light in your fingers.
Earth bites it.
It's painted wood.
Maybe don't get too excited yet. I think they were fucking with us.
Why?
This is fake. Not all of it, but the gold is, at least.
Metrigon takes the skull out and even though he doesn't have fangs right now, or at least visible fangs, he starts kind of like scratch at the surface with his tooth to see if it's plated or if it's solid.
The skull seems to be gilded with gold.
Gilded.
It does scrape away. It doesn't seem to be paint, unlike the coins, which seem to actually just be gold paint. The skull seems to have actual gold flecks that kind of scrape off with your tooth or your fingernail.
Okay. But yeah, he'll follow Kiva's advice and just start to pull out the rubies while you tell her what's in her pile.
Okay.
What else is in my pile?
You also find a number of iron pots, each one holding what seems like several thousand copper pieces. You see scattered throughout a number of rusted helms, and just kind of scattered throughout, some within and under the pots, some within the quote-unquote gold pieces, a number of leather-bound tomes. Looking down on one of them, you see that the title appears to be Snow Dwarf and the Seven Whites by Nitch Rakme. Sitting atop the pile, just kind of half discarded and nestled underneath one of the pots, you see an obsidian scepter with gold filigree.
Aerith, for the moment, completely ignores the cool-ass scepter and picks up one of the books, flipping through it, and then kind of walks over to Amity, tapping her on the shoulder. Hey, darling. Got some for it. Think there's some you might be interested in.
Okay, that's a cute pun. I will read it. I am also interested in the large piles of gold.
Oh, I know.
Okay.
I will say for Amity's sake
take the gold.
I will say for Amity's sake that after a moment of consideration, you do recognize the name Nitch Rakme, and as Aerith pulls open the front cover to get a closer look with you, you notice that it seems to be signed by the author on the inside cover.
Oh wow, it's an original Rakme, or whatever you said the name was. Okay, that's pretty cool. Wait, how did this end up here?
Well, there might have been another adventurer who came through Barovia who had a passion for fair. I don't know. But there's 15 of them if you want 15 original Rakmes.
Get what you were saying. Yeah. Wait, Kiva, you can sense magic, right? It's something in here has got to be magical, whether it's the skull or the scepter or these books.
Kiva can use her magic awareness for sure.
Up to you.
Okay, would you like to, Kiva?
Hell yeah.
All right, you take a breath, kind of pulling on the Fey essence within you and drawing that awareness forth. As you open your eyes, they glimmer with a eldritch, purple-like energy. And as you look around the room, feeling with your enhanced senses on the arcane magic that might lie throughout these piles of treasure, you find absolute bupkis.
Nothing magical in here, unfortunately, but, not ruling out the whole temple, of course. Or where else we're going.
Hey, at this point, I'll take money. That's spellbook ink, that's rope, that's armor, and possibly us not needing to work for a decade after this, so we can take a well-deserved break.
What's in Kiva and Amity's piles?
Okay, Kiva, in your pile, you find thousands of silver pieces. Checking often, they seem to be of a normal weight. You see a number of crystal balls, somewhat reminiscent of Madame Ava's, but looking somewhat of lower quality. There is a number of marble vases, rather large, heavy vases, kind of scattered throughout the pile of silver. A life-sized wooden pony, and just lying haphazardly across the pony's head, caught there by one of its carved ears, a bronze crown with tiny gem-eyed dragons for spires.
She will take the crown and put it on her head. And then she will take... How many thousands of silver pieces are there?
Ballparking... maybe around a dozen thousand, maybe a little less, you're not sure.
Okay,
You probably have to take some time to count through all of it.
Okay, could she take, roughly 6,000 silver pieces?
Sure, I will say that you
them in her
can
backpack?
How much does that weigh?
It's pretty heavy. I mean, I would say that you can take. I would say that you can
I have
reasonably
so
take.
much carrying capacity.
That's fair.
That's
That's
why
true,
I'm
that's
like, I'm gonna take 6,000 silver pieces.
All right, if you would like 6,000 silver pieces, they are yours.
Those of us who actually know the encumbrance rules, tell us in the comments. We don't care.
I'm
but we
pretty
love you.
sure-
Yeah, I've still got 12 pounds of carrying capacity. Even
I'm pretty
with the
sure-
6,000 gold pieces or silver pieces.
Can we load in 12 more pounds of loot?
I mean, we
Without,
can just take trips on the way in, way back. We don't need to worry about this. We
That's
got a
all that
wagon.
nods. Yes, we could store it in there. I don't know if you could take that. And she eyes the wooden pony somewhat skeptically. But for some of the larger things, if there's anything we want to take with us, we could certainly store it in there.
She does toss as the prettiest looking crystal ball in her pile, with a little.
Esmeralda
wink.
looks a little unexpected, almost fumbles it for a moment, and then catches it before it hits the ground. And she gives you a grateful but somewhat sweaty nod.
Yeah, so Kiva's in her crown and her glasses, and as soon as she gets Rodden's robe back, she's gonna.
You are looking. Kiva is looking completely pimped out right now. It's a glorious offense against fashion, and I'm here for it.
I love it. And her 6,000 silver.
Lillison peeks in. Does there happen to be a cart near that pony at all?
There is not a cart near the pony, I'm afraid.
Lillison slumps back to her position and continues to look rather uninterested in everything.
All right, Amity, you were checking your own pile?
Sure, yeah.
All right, you find in this one thousands upon thousands of copper pieces interspersed with large, lustrous gemstones. You see bloodstone, citrine, moonstone, quartz. You see a number of rusted suits of plate armor, dented and worn away in places, and a number of shields of similar quote-unquote quality, as well as at the very center of the pile of copper, covered with a few gemstones atop its surface, a child-sized sarcophagus made of black wood inlaid with gold.
Yeek. Okay, Amity's gonna sort of telekinetically, ghost-wise, open the lid of the sarcophagus, backing away.
Okay, you can do so easily enough. The lid comes off and slides with a puff of dust down into the copper pile below. The sarcophagus is empty.
Phew. Okay, that's good. Are among these gemstones, are there any diamonds or pearls? I asked for spellcasting components.
Let me check something real quick. Well, that's good. Well, I'm checking that. Is anyone else checking any other piles of gold?
Yeah. Aerith is going to take that cool-ass scepter and, like, 4 of the copies of the autographed book, and then stump over to the pile directly across from him.
Okay, checking that pile. You find... The first thing you notice are several thousand electrum pieces, and as you lean over to pick them up, you see stamped across the surface the familiar appearance of Strahd's profiled visage. On
Aerith holds it at
every
arm's
one.
length, like someone holding something, someone holding something like very noxious, and delicately
Oh my
drops
God.
it back in the pile.
Are we? Is this a reference all the way back to the first episode and that currency rant?
It might be.
I'm here for it. I adore this.
No.
What else is
There
in the
are-
pile of uselessness?
There are a number of bottles, all of them empty, some filled with electrum pieces, others just kind of upended over themselves. There is a closed trunk beside a rotted wooden chest, and scattered throughout all the mess are 8 painted ceramic statues of what seem to be holy figures of some kind.
Interesting. What's in the trunk?
The trunk, opening it up, oh no, Kiva's gonna... It contains 6 fine dresses and gowns, immaculately preserved.
Everyone gets a dress.
Ooh, Aerith
Everyone gets a dress.
holds them up, looking at it
Ooh, yeah.
appraisingly. Are these really nice?
Yes, they are aristocratic level dresses and gowns.
Are any of them built tall and skinny?
I would say one of them is.
What color?
Roll a d6 for me.
Yes. 5.
5. Indigo.
All right, I'm gonna step back into the other room. Give me a second. Aerith is going to duck over to a quiet corner and try it on.
Kiva's just gonna take
Alright.
a dress that looks like her size and stuff it in her backpack with her silver.
All right,
And
give me a d6 roll as well to see what color it is.
Please be hot pink. Please be hot pink.
It is not hot pink, but it is hot orange.
Ah, I love it. That's gonna look so horrible with her hair. Oh, I cannot wait.
Look great. Like traffic cone orange with that blue hair. It's gonna be great.
Oh god, the clashing is
Imagery.
beautiful.
It's gonna be complicated.
As
God. I'm here for this.
Aerithrindir like walks out of the room with the dress, Lillison actually perks up and she peeks her head back in again, because dresses is something she understands.
I think there was something your size in the pile. Not sure what color though.
As she walks through the room, very gingerly, actually trying to avoid most of the stuff on the floor, she pauses just inside the door and uses her mage hand to first drop the wand in her own hand, I guess, and then uses her mage hand to rifle through the remaining dresses. What are the other 4 colors? Let's just get this over with, Draga.
The other 4 colors, roll a d6 for me 4 times. The first one you roll will be the one that's your size.
First one is a 1.
Red.
What are the other colors?
Yellow, red, and kind of a light purplish color. I hope someone's keeping track of this because I'm not.
Lillison looks vaguely annoyed and then sighs and fetches the red one and shakes it out by the shoulder. I guess just the one shoulder because she just has the one mage hand and, looks at it very critically.
I will say that with some tailoring, you could probably make the like violet purple one work.
Does it look more like in Metreon's size, though?
It depends on how comparable the two of you are in height.
Metreon is like what? We have a height chart. Why aren't we referencing that?
I don't know.
Height
All I will
chart.
say is that as this is going on, Casimir's just kind of staring dumbfounded at this impromptu fashion shopping trip.
What's in the pile in front of me? The second pile.
The second pile. Let's see. That one has several thousand silver pieces, a number of suits of ring mail and rusted breastplates, all dented and worthless. There is a silvered rapier with a pink glass hilt, a number of rusted great swords. And actually, I lied before. Lillison, there is something here of interest that is comparable to a cart. It is a massive gilded chariot.
Yes, pony and chariot.
Yeah, Metron's going to take that rapier. It sounds rad.
All right.
Fasten it to his
And
belt.
it is silvered, in case that matters.
It does matter, actually. Yeah, he's going to look at it and look at the pink. You said it's like a pink glass handle, or?
Yes, a pink glass hilt.
Hilt. Okay.
Yes, the blade is silvered.
Yeah, he kind of looks at it, gives it a bit of a smile, fastens it to his belt, and then he'll take the remaining dresses and then he'll distribute them. He'll give one to Amity. Which one you want, love?
Is there oh, you already said there was a red one. No, but that was Lillison's side. Okay.
No, but
we
there's
need a
two red.
spreadsheet.
There's two red.
We need a spreadsheet for these dresses, okay? Amity will take the other red one.
Okay, that red one, with some tailoring, you could probably make it fit. It's a bit short in the length, but you could probably let a little bit of the fabric. It'd still be a bit of a tight fit, but you could make it work.
Aerith sort of slides back into the room, sort of spreading his arms. Oh god, I've been looking for something decent to wear for formal stuff for years. I've never had the money. Who'd have thought I'd find something here? What? Does it look bad?
No, not at all. It's just unexpected.
Yeah, no, I don't usually do these, but formal wear, it's a lot more pleasant than suits. You can actually move.
I don't know. It's pretty tight fitting. You sure you can move in it?
We'll find out.
It's like a
As he
bandage
kind of-
dress.
Thank you for adding.
I
this
see all
into
the
world,
contours of your
Jack.
body. It's making me a little bit perplexed. But I can see why Amity
Is it
likes it.
now? There's a bit of a smirk. Ooh, good sword you found. Matches your color scheme too.
Well, not my current one, but yeah.
Not your current one, no. But I don't care for your current color scheme, so that works out. No offense, Casimir. More that it's a murderer. Yeah.
He just nods and shrugs, still looking slightly stupefied, and he's just kind of nodding, like that same vibe as when you're standing in the middle of the grocery store and your mom gets into a conversation with a friend.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I'm just gonna stand over here and look at this box of Pop-Tarts for the next 15 minutes.
What's up, Wilson?
She is looking with, that critical eye at Aerthrondir's dress and then at Aerthrondir's hair, and she says, I think you would need some silver jewelry to unite your entire color scheme.
You think so?
Indigo is difficult to pair with, well, most other colors.
And I'm sure red-brown doesn't make it easy to accent either.
No, not at all.
But I could do some silver. I usually wear gold, but I could branch out. I've certainly got the money. Good thought. Anything else it needs, or?
Well, I mean, we certainly have the money now, I suppose. And she, gives a distasteful glance at all of the coins.
Yeah, I mean, we can do some with the Electrum, besides burying it.
On a slightly more serious note, I think you were right, Ethandia, that previous adventurers got in here and, well, their goods were placed in this treasury. So I wonder who put it here. Amity's going to try to riffle through some of these piles and look around them to see if any of the jackal demon thingy's fur is among them. Maybe it put it here, or maybe there's other tracks showing what Guardian of the Amber Temple might have put these pieces here.
Interesting. I would say give me an investigation check. And while you do,
Coming right up.
there was, I believe, in Aerthrondir's pile, there was still a rotted wooden chest. Would anyone like to investigate that one?
Yeah.
Oh, that's not what the dresses were in?
Nope, there was a trunk and a chest.
Oh, yeah, then let Metreon do it, yeah.
Yeah, he'll kick it open.
All right, it holds... It's a small chest around the sides of a powder room chest, but within you see 10 pieces of jewelry, bracelets, a necklace, earrings, all in a beautiful cascade of silvers, golds, and bronzes.
Nothing in here. He starts to just very discreetly rifle it and shovel it into his bag. Which his bag is hidden in his body, so it's just kind of like him shoveling it into his torso.
Aerith sort of looks over from discussing what degree of silver would work well with the dress to see what's going on. There's a lot of movement for what's nothing. Or actually, yeah. Okay, yeah.
I rolled a 21 on my sleight of hand check, by the way.
Let me check my perception.
Probably.
Yeah, no, he don't see shit.
It's just an old broken chest, so nothing in here.
Ugh. Well, thanks for checking. So, you think a brooch or a bracelet or maybe some rings? I'm not sure, honestly.
I think one of the thicker sort of necklaces to provide a visual border between the indigo portion and I'm going to see if Lillison notices what Metreon is doing.
Okay.
That's a 23.
23. You see Metreon slipping a small rotted wooden chest into the fabric of his disguise before it vanishes from sight. He's looking somewhat sketchy about it.
I was just taking the jewels out of the chest.
Oh, yeah. You see him kind of swiping something with the faintly glints in the light and kind of tucking that away, and you hear the small jangling of what sounds like metal and gems.
Like the collar that Metreon just picked up?
Oh, is there? Is there now?
Oh, no, what you're talking about. You don't see nothing on me, do you?
I'll trade you for all the Electrum in my pile.
All right, deal. And he reaches into his, again, very like Videodrome-esque, kind of reaches into his stomach and starts to rifle around. It looks very weird because, again, there's no bag, it's just body. And so he's just kind of like...
hammer space, yeah.
Yeah, he's just like rifling through his own guts and then pulls out what looks to be the collar.
Ooh.
It is a fine collar made of dozens of small, intricate silver links. And at the very center of it, there is a large, lush, beautiful sapphire, formed very faintly in the shape of a teardrop. And along the sides of it, dangling from several additional silver chains of, again, fine, intricate make, are several small additional sapphires, each one no larger than the fingernail of a pinky.
Aerith's eyes are like reverent as he takes this and like fiddles with the clasp. Wow, this is some craftsmanship, and thank you.
Are you planning on wearing that dress throughout the rest of this temple? Not that I mind. It's just, I'm concerned for your own safety.
Aerith raps on his chest, and you see the flare of magic as his mage armor ripples across his body.
Oh, it's not like it's not protection. It's more like the way that it's fitted around your legs. It's like you look like it looks like a fish tail. It looks like you're not.
Don't worry, I've practiced. I know how to move in these.
Oh, all right. Listen, you like it, I love it.
Fair enough. And I got the cloak to keep me warm anyway. So, anyone else find anything fun?
Esmeralda holds her
I'm
hand
looking
toward the back of the room. It looks like this crack in the alcove up here. It seems to lead to another chamber.
Right, we were exploring 10 minutes ago.
But no rush. I imagine that whatever terrible evil is lurking on the other side of it will wait for us. She looks toward Aerith and nods. Looking stunning. Very nice.
Thank you. Aerith blushes a little. Thanks. It's been a long time since I got to be pretty. Not much occasion in the woods. Unless you want to show off for the squirrels.
She shrugs. Well, we are attending a formal dinner event.
You're right.
As they're talking, Metreon takes up the violet dress, and he's going to actually go out to see Ismark and Irina. Oi, Irina, I think this will go good with you.
Irina holds on, accepts it, and says, "Oh, it's lovely. You found decent." She kind of takes in the rest of the room, and all that in there. This is. I've never seen anything like this. This is incredible.
It's going to be great when she shows up wearing a dress that's eerily similar to the purple dress she's wearing in the portrait in Strahd's study. That's going to be fun.
Oh,
Glad you
no.
caught
Oh,
You think the
Spoilers.
PhD of Irina Kolyana isn't going to catch what you're trying to do, Jack?
Irina happily takes the purplish dress.
As the purple dress.
Lilson, having ignored all of the treasure, except for one wistful glance over to the chariot, joins as in peeking through the crack.
She steps aside to make some room for you. It seems that there's some natural openings in the wall here, see? And you can see that there are 2 natural openings that seem to have at one point been 3 feet wide, 8 feet high, and perhaps 10 feet deep, but the resounding blasts of Amity's shatter spells, as well as Kiva's force of the pixie blasts, have chipped away at it, making them somewhat easier to traverse without necessarily folding yourself crosswise. Looking through, you can just faintly see in the darkness what seems to be another amber sheathed room and a wooden crate. It's kind of amidst the rubble, but it's difficult to make out much more than that. You can just faintly see what seems to be a grand staircase of some kind, but you can only see a small slice of it, and in the darkness it's impossible to tell any color or depth.
Does it look like this crack formed naturally, or does it look like somebody might have chiseled their way out?
Make your choice of nature or an investigation check.
Oh goodness. That's a 14 investigation.
It seems to have been naturally formed. There are no marks where a chisel might have chewed through the rock. It seems to have been torn apart naturally, perhaps by a cave-in or some sort of other seismic activity.
Lillison nods to herself, glances over at Ez, spares one momentary glance back at everybody else, and then starts just squeezing her way through.
I love you good? Oh, okay. And Metron will just kind of go up to the edge of the crevasse to just make sure she's going in and not being attacked.
As she does, Esmeralda turns back toward the others. Do you guys, Lillison's heading to the next room. Do we want to follow after?
Yeah, definitely.
Hold
Kiva
on.
takes her heaving backpack and goes.
All right.
What's up, Amity?
I'm still looking for. Do you want the result of the investigation check?
Yes.
It is a big ol' 7.
A 7? There's no sign of any fur or anything like that.
All right. I didn't see any fur, so it's possible that someone else took things from adventures and put them in here. Something we
Good thought.
haven't seen
We'll
yet.
be careful. Thanks for keeping your head. I got a little caught up in the treasure and getting to look pretty again.
Okay. And the rest of you are Lillison. As you make your way through, Metreon, Esmeralda, and Kiva following behind, you hear the footsteps of your companions soon coming to join you. You enter a new chamber. In this room, you see a golden marble staircase with a black marble railing hugging the north wall as it spirals gently up a 30-foot wide shaft. Lying in the middle of the room are 6 rotting wooden crates. The amber-covered walls are sculpted to look like tentacles that entwine around marble bas-reliefs of kings, queens, pharaohs, and sultans, attended by myriad slaves. The west, south, and east walls contain alcoves, and standing in each alcove is a tall, rough block of amber. You can see from whence you came the 2 wide cracks that had opened up in the south wall, spilling rubble and shattered pieces of amber onto the floor in the southeast corner of the room.
Are these similarly sized amber sarcophagi?
To each other or to the ones you've seen?
To the ones we've seen.
They seem of similar size, although perhaps very slightly larger.
Lillison...
And you can see in each one of them a small sliver of darkness waiting patiently in the Ember Depths.
Lillison stops about 10 feet into the room and just sort of looks around, looking like she is transfixed. And then slowly, looking like she's sort of floating and not entirely, perhaps not entirely aware of what she's doing, she walks slowly towards the block of amber to the east and pauses just a few inches away from it, just gazing deeply at it.
As she does, you hear the rest of you entering the room, slowly pushing your way through the cracks, your footsteps echoing across the dark flagstone floor as you enter and behold this new chamber.
As soon as Kiva gets in, she's going to do her divine sense.
Okay. You take a moment and dig deep into you. You hear behind you Casimir's breath catch and Davian grumble under his breath. Everyone's eyes going wide at the sight of the horrific bas-reliefs and carvings along the walls. And as you open your attentions, you feel in the west sarcophagus and the south, a strange, twisting, undead aura. To the east sarcophagus, you feel a twinge of undeath tinged with something strange and aberrant. There's a moment of pause, of unease. And then you see Lillison staring into the depths of the west sarcophagus quietly.
Kiva doesn't yell at Lillison to come out of it or try to pull her away. She just comes up behind her. She's not trying to sneak, and just very gently puts a hand on her shoulder and just sort of lets her know quietly the sort of twisting undead sensation that she gets from that, and just says, "Be careful."
Before you have a chance to react, Lillison, Kiva, the sound of your words, though softly spoken, carry with a faint echo throughout the chamber. And as they do, there's a faint creaking that each of you hear, the soft splintering of wood and shifting of earth, and then suddenly, before any of you can so much as stir, the 6 crates throughout the room explode outward in a sudden mass of rage.
I hate this.
And then
Thankfully, I
within
didn't
them, you
say I was kicking
see
the crates.
emerging, as Metrion's heel makes contact with one of the crates, you see bursting forth 6 silhouettes, the dust rising around them. You see around each of them strange forms, humanoid. You see what seems to be a half-elf wearing rotted leather armor, another half-elf wearing tattered red wizard's robes, a tiefling barefooted, a black robe falling down the tattered sides of the clothes, a broad-shouldered half-orc with burn scars covering the face and chest, a drow with purplish black flesh and a purple cloak over the shoulders, and standing at the northern end, with 6 of them encircling you, a blue dragonborn in tattered vestments. The dragonborn's lips pull back as he bursts forward from the crate, revealing long, sharp, white, vampiric fangs. And that's where we're going to take a break.
Party.
I didn't think that this was the room, and now I'm glad that I didn't know, because what a pleasant surprise.
Oh, that's cool.
Beautiful. All right, well, you get to enjoy a lovely combat dressed up to the nines.
At least we look good.
Kiva's not
That's
wearing
it.
her dress right now, but she is wearing the crown.
Oh, well.
Yeah, we'll save ballroom
Woohoo.
blitz for the Strahd fight.
All right, well, as always, we will pick this back up after a quick 15-minute break. This week, we've got a fireside chat with Midlife Dices, a language arts teacher with 20 years of experience and the host of the Twitch show It's About DM Time, where he will be speaking about narration in D&D, and the use of descriptive language. Please do enjoy, and we'll see you back here soon.
Welcome to Fireside Chat, a short interlude with weekly features where I, your host Lucas, will be showcasing and interviewing prominent D&D creators. This week, we are talking to Midlife Dices, a language arts teacher with over 20 years of experience and the host of It's About DM Time show on Twitch, about improving D&D in narration and descriptive language. What is the role of narration in a TTRPG session? Why does it matter?
Whether you are the Dungeon Master, Game Master, or a player, the role of narration is to put your ideas into the other people's heads. You want them to see what you see and feel what you want them to feel in regards to a setting, a scene, a character, even an action for in combat, and definitely something with the villain. You want them to come across in a certain way. It's important, though, that we don't just thrust this all on the DM or the GM. As players, too, everybody has a role to play when it comes to making this feel like we're in a movie. Making it feel like we're in something, more than just a story that we're listening to and then moving on, but we get to interact. Narration is the bridge between your thoughts and everyone else's. It helps to add emotional weight to what's going on. We're playing games that involve people portraying multi-dimensional characters. And when we narrate in such a way that comes across as flat and boring, then characters are going to have a hard time rising up beyond that. And so it enhances and encourages role-playing because they will have a bit more gravitas to what's going on around them. They will get to feel it and hopefully rise to the occasion of, so how would your character feel in this situation? That would be the ideal.
How can you make narration a more visual experience? Or what about the other four senses?
A big part of it is it comes down to vocabulary. If we end up using words that are repetitive, vague, and general, then we're having a hard time getting our thoughts into their heads. So instead, we have to try and use words that are varied and clear and specific. Phrase that we hear all the time in, let's say, a D&D game would be, I attack, or I cast a spell, or I hit, or you miss, or something like that. And we need to vary those words up so that we create a visual. Instead of I cast magic missile, it's, I thrust my two palms out forward ahead of me, and from them, bolts of energy burst out toward the target. I could have even gone so far as like what kind of sound the magic missile made. What color was it? Was there texture to it? Was there some kind of effect or aura? Get into those other senses. Swing your sword. If I just say I hit with my sword, every person at the table is going to have a different visual of how that's done. But if I say, like, I reach back behind my shoulder with two hands on the hilt, and in a wide arc, I sweep my sword at the legs of the ogre, Well, now we have a much better idea of what's going on. We all get to see the same thing. And then when it comes to the other four senses, we tend to think of those more as a setting thing. What do you hear when you enter the swamp? Well, you hear bugs and you hear the water dripping from the trees. And what do you smell? Well, the air is stagnant and musty. And so we are able to draw those a little bit more, depending on the situation that you are in. You can kind of grasp at those different senses.
How can dungeon masters use different types of words and sentence structure to create a different type of narrative experience?
Changing sentence structure is a big part of it. When we learn how to write sentences when we are kids, it's, I go. So it's noun, verb. That's at its most basic, right? And then we learn, I go to the store. Well, it's still noun, verb. And then, another noun eventually. But when we start using more interesting verbs, number one, go, once again, everybody's mind can see a different go. So instead, we try and use words like I slither, or I hop, I lunge. And so those have visual ideas attached to them that we want to be able to use. And then when we add on top of that some interesting adverbs, like words that affect the verb. So I stealthily slither. Now we get a really good idea of what that looks like. Once we have those words, if we change the structure, instead of I stealthily slither into the cave, now what if I start with stealthily slithering, I enter the cave? Now what I've done is I put a little bit of emphasis on the verb and the adverb. I brought it to the forefront of the sentence, which allows it to take over the visual and the feeling that we get. And so sentence structure is a huge part of it. How we can manipulate that a little bit, and it just comes with time by trying it out and realizing, yeah, not every sentence needs to start with you do this or I do this, but instead we can start with the verb or the adverb. It forces us to create the sentence in a slightly different way.
How do narrative pacing, intonation, and emphasis work?
Yeah, narrative pacing is a really fun one. Quick, choppy sentences are going to feel urgent. You're going to feel the action of that. It's kind of like a movie scene. When you have the action scene in a movie, the camera angles and the cuts are quick, and the camera's moving all over the place from perspective to different perspective. That's sort of what quick, choppy sentences do. They add to that sense of urgency and panic. Whereas slow, drawn-out descriptions may sound peaceful or ominous, depending on what kind of intonation you were using. That definitely helps to define that. Intonation, when I would teach grade 5 language arts, I talk about intonation as the roller coaster ride of narration. How your pitch goes up when you ask a question. If I'm speaking slowly, the intonation can affect, is this a peaceful scene that we've entered? Is this something to be scared of? Emphasis is how we choose to punch certain words or phrases. Kind of like how Captain Kirk would speak. By putting that key idea at the end of a phrase, maybe we pause beforehand, then our audience feels the weight of that word. If we just talk fast, monotonously, etc., it's kind of like eating a whole plate of food without even chewing. As narrators, we want to put something on the fork of our listener. We want them to chew it and swallow it and understand it, and then be able to move on. narrative pacing, intonation, and emphasis definitely helps with that. But there are times where we do want to rush through things, and so it's a bit about picking and choosing what will work for the scene.
When the players are entering a new area, how do you put all of these pieces together into a sensory engaging narrative description?
The key to this is 3 words: show, don't tell. Show, don't tell is probably the most common phrase used in teaching kids how to write. We want to show the audience, let's say, an emotion or a scene that they're in, without telling them, here's where you are. And the power behind that is that they then get to add on their own layer of, and how do I feel about this? That feeling will come a lot easier when they've been given enough information. A couple ways to do this. Number 1 is to use all 5 senses. So you've approached an ancient door. Well, how can I make this clear to you without telling you it's an ancient door? So I could describe that it's cracked and dusty and gritty. There's gold inlay that's grimy. When you touch it, it's cold to the touch. There's bones scattered around the door. When you push it, it lets out an enormous squeal as the rusty hinges squeak for the first time in centuries. So I can show you all those things without ever using the word ancient, and use the audience would see that door and you feel it, you hear it. I don't recommend tasting the door. That might result in a constitution saving throw or something. And so the 5 senses is a huge part of that. The other thing that I found really helpful is to break the scene into its parts. Almost like you're taking a landscape picture and cutting out the different pieces of it. So I have a forest here of the sky, I have the moon, I have a pond, and hills in the background. Well, if I separate those things from each other, and I get to describe what makes each of them unique and interesting, then I'm providing all these hooks to my players, and then they can put it all together in such a way that works for their character. That one character, I'm interested in the forest because of the way that you described it, whereas another character might be curious about the pond. The idea being that we don't need to write a full paragraph for each of these things. If we're just aware of the parts of it, then it allows the players to kind of figure out what is important to them. That's the ideal, is that I'm going to put ideas into your head, but I'm not going to tell you what's important to you. I'm not going to tell you how you feel. Because this is a role-playing game, you should be able to figure those things out.
Where can people find you and your work?
On Twitter, I'm at Midlife Dices, and that's where I am most everywhere. I run a show on Twitch every week called It's About DM Time, where Dungeon Masters get a chance to chat with each other about DM issues and topics. I have the Raccoon Tours Lexicon. Expanded edition is on DM's Guild. It is a collection of 3,000 plus words for helping enhance your narration, making it more immersive and varied, covering everything from combat, spells, monsters, environments, and weather, etc. I also have a blog on my Ko-Fi where I talk about the art of narration, and I put 20 years of teaching language arts into the things that apply to TTRPGs.
And welcome back, everyone, to Curse of Strahd Twice Bitten. We hope you enjoyed our break. Before we get started, as always, a few quick announcements. Thank you to all of our raiders and viewers on Twitch. We love you guys. We're very grateful to have you, and we're glad that you're enjoying watching the show with us. As always, thank you to our virtual tabletop sponsor for this campaign, Foundry VTT, which you can clearly see displaying this lovely Amber Temple artwork and other imagery depicted by the fine mapmaker Mike Schley and artist James RPG Art, as well as to our second sponsor, The Forge, our integrated hosting service for Foundry VTT games. You should definitely check that out if you're looking at hosting a Foundry game to play with your friends, or check out either of them if you're interested in just putting up a beautiful digital map for your campaigns. So with that, thank you again to our sponsors, and Twy, spin us up on Twitch.
So, you know what everybody likes? Treasure. Our lovely, lovely, very poor Twice Bitten crew have finally gotten a fraction of the, 8 treasure hoards we should have gotten by now if Curse of Strahd were any other adventure. But you know, as nice as it is to have jewelry and gilded chariots and 15 copies of an obscure children's book, I don't think our characters needed that money, because they have something better. They have the support of all of those subscribing to us at Twice Bitten D&D on Twitch. For they do not know that the generous gods sprinkle money that helps keep the show running, paying for everything we can do to keep the show functional and make it the best that it can be. So, thank you, generous creators, who have helped to make this show possible. And know that if you wish to continue to contribute as we wind down for our final run, that you can subscribe for $4.99 a month, and that we appreciate it greatly. Thank you. Serena?
I will just jump in on the Twitch thing to say that we still have a few days left of September, so Twitch subs are $4 right now until the end of September. So I learned that from watching Hassan Piker. Okay, if you like what you are watching, you can join the discussion on our very own subreddit, reddit.com/r/twicebittendnd, and you can subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/c/rcurseofstrahd, for all of our past sessions, fireside chats, video essays, and highlights from the stream. As always, if you have any questions, comments, fan art, or just want to say hi, you can talk to us on Twitter or via email, twicebittencos@gmail.com.
All right, beautiful. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Twy. Thank you, Serena. And with that, I think we are back and ready to go. So let's dive right back in. So we pulled up the map here. As the horde of your party has streamed into this room, smashing forth from the chests, you see the half dozen, now you see vampire spawn of different races and appearances lurching forth at once, blindsiding you as they lash toward you. One of them, the tiefling, lashes out toward Lillison, but as it does, I will need everyone to roll initiative. You are all technically surprised, but...
15.
14?
9.
16.
All right. So we start with Amity. Amity's no longer surprised. Kiva's no longer surprised. Same for Ez. And Lillison and Erthrindir. And now for our friends, the vampire spawn. The barefooted tiefling wearing the tattered black robe turns toward Lillison, eyes dark, and whispers, "Sorry about this," and lashes toward you with long, sharpened claws you hadn't noticed before. And that's going to be a claw attack.
All right.
Disadvantage because they're in sunlight because of the sun sword. And taking 20 points of damage, each of them, from the sun sword. So let me mark that off, actually, as they wince and grunt, part of their flesh burning away. The sun sword is not a very happy friend to vampires.
Yay!
So as it does, it's lashing out toward Lillison, making attack with its unarmed strike with its claws. Let's see how that does. With disadvantage, that is a 16 to hit.
Ooh, that is going to be a shield reaction because I get my reaction now because my turn has passed.
Okay, beautiful. It blocks off the air in front of you, the claws sliding against the green swirling runes. The vampire snarls, grimacing, and then swirling toward Kiva, past her toward Casimir, and then Rahadin, eyes widening. But shaking its head, it will go toward Casimir.
Oh, maybe Rahadin
talk
can
about
tell
the
them
second
to, like, fuck off.
That's the plan.
That is a 9, slashing wide away, snarling and rearing back, keeping one hand in front of its eyes from the sunlight. Turn the blasted thing off! Turn it off! You hear behind it the rumbling half-orc with the burn scars rising across its face. It will be done. Leaping forward, wearing a massive fist back and tearing across Kiva's front with the claws. Let's see if this hits. That is a 10, which I presume misses.
Nope. Nice try.
A 20.
Okay, I got too cocky. Kiva couldn't have
All right.
raged, right? Since her turn. No.
No, you did not get an action on your turn. I'm
You
afraid.
don't
Okay,
have that
cool.
feature yet.
Ah, okay. Thank you.
Okay, and with that, let me check something real quick on the map, actually. Interesting. Okay. It's going to grab you and slice across your face with the claws, dealing 7 points of slashing damage.
Okay.
First attack missed. That's going to be the end of its turn. Next up, the drow behind the three of you is going to lash out toward, let's say, Casimir, who does no shield. Let's see if this hits. (13), which misses. Natural one, stumbling back, the drow vampire spawn hisses, squinting at the light as the sunlight bores holes in its flesh and robes. Right. Do you mind getting rid of that, please? And then behind him, the female vampire spawn wearing a cloak and wearing rotted leather armor. Naughton says, maybe, but perhaps the other one's a bit easier to soften up, and lashes toward Erthrindir.
Oh boy.
It's going to be a double attack with the claw. 16 to hit,
No.
8 to hit.
No.
Stumbling back, snarling with the light of the sun in her eyes. The next one's going to leap forward toward Amity, laughing maniacally. Oh, honey, won't you come home with me? And lashing out toward you, Amity, with the claws twice. That is an 11, which I presume misses. And a 10, which I presume misses. Slashing, slicing, Amity, each time you duck back as this vampire hisses, snarling, squinting through the light, against the light of the sun sword. The final one, the blue dragonborn wearing the tattered vestments, pulls itself up to his full height and rumbles, "Fools. They cannot withstand forever. I see the Master's Chamberlain with them. Surrender now, or the Devil's wrath will not be unabated." And he lashes forward toward you, Erthrindir.
Whee!
Miss, and a 14, which misses.
Yeah, he's like dodging left and right, letting the mage armor deflect the occasional blow, but there's something kind of wild in his eyes now. Oh, I'm sorry. Is the blinding light of the sun a bit too much for you now? Can't creep in the darkness anymore.
Dragonborn snarls at you. Arrogance is unbecoming. You
No.
will bow to the Master.
Maybe, but not today.
All right, that is the end of their turn. Davian is no longer surprised, taken through the order. And that is the end of round one. Amity, you are up. You've got two vampire spawn, one on either side of you. Unless, Metron,
You
what's up?
skipped, Metreon.
Yeah.
You were surprised.
Oh, surprise! Right.
Oh, okay, got you. Yeah.
That was round 1. Amity, you have your first actual turn. What are you doing?
Oh god, I'm in the middle of so many vampire spawn right now.
Yup. It's a lot. What are you doing?
Yeah, it's kind of a lot. Amity is going to start things off by casting Shatter on the 2 coming up behind Airthrindir.
All right.
I think
Give us a
only
Spirit
2
Vortex.
can fit in this one. Yeah. And that is going to be con saves from each. But I think vampires are made of organic matter, so don't have disadvantage.
That is correct. That is a 20 and a 4. So the female with the cloak succeeds, but the dragonborn, caught off balance for a moment, fails.
Okay, still the worst damage roll in history, so 11 to the fail and 5 to the successor. But I assume that at least the 3 wooden boxes caught in the range are harmed.
Yes, I mean, they were already kind of blasted to smithereens by the vampires exploding out of them, but they're reduced even to further splinters as they do. The blue dragonborn pushed back, snarling, the female vampire pulling her lips back, then snarling with a searing hiss toward you, Airthunder. You see the white fangs biting down over the lips as her eyes fixate deep into yours. All right, is that Amity's turn?
The smile.
That will be Amity's turn indeed.
All right, Kiva, you're up.
All right, she's going to bonus action rage and then attack. She's sort of like diagonally between 2 vampires in melee range. The drow and the dragonborn, it looks like, or the half-orc?
That's a half-orc, yep.
Okay, yeah, so she's going to make 1 attack at the half-orc recklessly and then 1 attack at the drow recklessly.
All right, before you do, give us that wild surge.
Have to make sure I actually click the rage thing so that it gives me my damage.
Yep.
7. Okay, I don't remember 7, so that might be interesting.
Let's see what we got.
Ooh, okay. So the vines and sort of thorny black tendrils sprout up from the ground and surround me, turning 10 feet of space around me into difficult terrain.
Okay, very good. I'll mark that off.
Awesome. And now I'm going to make my attack is...
Go for it.
So that's 27 for the half-orc.
That'll hit. Roll some damage.
And then I get another d8 because he's undead.
Is it 1d8 or 2d8? Just remind me.
It's 2, I think. Hold on.
Oh, no, you're right. It's 1d8. It's 1d8. You're right.
Okay, yeah.
I was thinking of a divine smite.
5, so that's 13 for the half-orc, and then for the drow. $28, that's a crit!
Crit, baby. All right, roll some damage.
12 points of damage plus 5 is 17 for the drow.
He screams in a terrible, shrill voice. Shit! It's burning! Get it off me! And you watch as the radiance continues to eat away at his undead, purplish black flesh.
He was just smiling, and that's her turn.
All right, it is Esmeralda's turn. And she rolls toward the kind of red wizard-robed one beside her at Amity. You talk awfully confidently for spawn that's about to be diced. I've dealt with plenty of you in my time. And beneath the light of the sun, you don't stand a chance. And she will slash toward her with her rapier and hand axe. First attack misses, the vampire dodging back with a hiss. An 11, jabbing back, Esmeralda growling in frustration. The vampire tosses her back and laughs. Ha! Couldn't hit me! Just keep trying, girly. Esmeralda snarls and pulls her hand axe away to chop it to the side of the shoulder. An 11, missing again. Slicing just inches away from the side of the robes. The vampire spawn throws her head back and laughs. It's not too late, little vampire hunter. Given now, take penance for the master for venturing into the dark places. Esmeralda shakes her head and spares a glance toward Amity and Kiva. I don't think so. All right, that is the end of Esmeralda's turn. Lillison, you're up.
I believe the 2 vampires spawned to my north are, in fact, within 5 feet of each other.
They are.
I would like them both to make dex saves, please.
You got it. That is a 10 for the half-orc and a 19 for the tiefling.
Alright, well, the tiefling is fine. But, okay. Well, the half-orc takes 2 acid damage.
There's a hiss of red burbling acid across the half-orc, tiefling leaping back with wide eyes, the orc just solemnly meeting your gaze, without even moving as the acid tears and bubbles against the side of his cheek.
Lillison then spares a glance over towards Ez and her spicy little adversary, and then returns her attention to the 2 vampires next to her, and without looking over again, she just says, Ez, right shin.
Esmeralda nods and goes back to work. Is that your turn?
That is my turn.
Aerith, you're up.
Aerith is laughing, and it is cold and strange as he looks around at the 3 spawns surrounding him. I think I get it now. After all this damn time, I think I get it. Spent so long being scared, being running, watching you leap out of the shadows to put an end to us. But we're your equals now. We are your betters. And that means you're going to end. Good night. And farewell. And Erthrendir is going to do something not often done by people who are not sorcerers, as he casts Fireball centered on self.
Okay.
Not centered on himself, but hitting himself and the 3 other vampires.
Drop it. Let's see what this looks like. This is spicy. Let me just let me check something real quick. I need to check something.
And that is 37 fire damage.
Very good. Let's see. Okay.
And as the black flame circles him and the war drums rise, and the flames lick around Erthrendir too, but he channels them around himself, pulling them into his own magic, and casts Absorb Elements. As the sword at his side begins to glow with swirling with his own black flame.
All right, beautiful. The vampires scream, 2 of them, as the scorching flames wreath around them. How much damage is that?
37.
Okay, so the red-cloaked one and the dragonborn both succeed on their saves. The one wearing leather armor does not. So that's going to be 19 damage to the wizard one and the dragonborn one, and 37 to the leather armored one.
And 9 to Erthrendir, who passed his save.
And also some amount of psychic damage to Lillison, who screams and flinches back from the fireball that is nowhere near hitting her.
Oh boy. Alright. That's his turn. He's had a good time.
Okay. And with that, let me just check something real quick. Okay. You watch as the flames spiral away. The front half of the western sarcophagus begin to slag and melt slightly with the fire damage across it. The black wisp within darting about eagerly from side to side. Is that the end of your turn?
Yep.
All right, the vampires begin their turn, each one taking 20 points of damage from that beautiful radiance. The one before you, wearing the leather armor, actually screams as in the wake of the burning fires, and she struggles to put it out. The radiance tears and burns away at her flesh, leaving her disintegrated into a pile of smoking ash. The one in the red wizard's robe snarls, hissing toward Kiva, and then toward Erthrendir. So you like it fiery, huh? I guess we can deal with that. The tiefling wincing as it takes 20 point. The half-orc just staring solemnly forward. And the drow doing his best to beat out all of the flames flickering across his robe and skin. Each of them dive forward together, attacking again. That's going to be the half-orc against Lillison. Let's see what this does. That's a 20 to hit.
Ooh, not going to bother with the shield this time. Hit me with it.
Okay, it snatches up toward you, and then instead of carving across you, grapples you right around the throat, and then violently hauls you back. As it does, it's going to pull you 15 feet away, spending 10 feet of movement for Kiva's difficult terrain.
Since he's out of my melee range, does he get an attack of opportunity from me?
Yes, you do. You get to take one.
Yay! $23?
23 hits. Roll some damage.
16.
16. He grunts with pain, snarling as he pulls you back, but then launches forward and bites you directly on the shoulder, Lillison, as he uses his bite attack because you're grappled.
Okay.
Unfortunately, that's a 9 to hit.
That does not hit.
Stumbling, the fangs going wide as he squints with his eyes from the blinding radiance of the sun sword. The tiefling snarling and turning toward Casimir. Missing with a 9, and then hitting with a 20. Casimir yelps as the claws cut across his side and then grapple him as well. Then Casimir is going to be pulled away from the rest of the group. Metron, if you're wielding a melee weapon, you can take an AOO.
I didn't have one drawn, but I do have one. Can I still do it?
If you don't have it drawn, then no, I'm afraid not.
All right.
All right. With that, the red one is going to attack Amity. That's a 15 to hit.
That hits.
All right. She will similarly grapple you, pulling the top of your clothing and snaring with claws and then yanking you violently forward. All right, this is fun. You want to have some fun? Let's go. And she heaves you away. Airthunder, you can take an AOO if you'd like.
Oh boy, would he? Or no,
Yes,
he
but
can't.
he already
So no,
took your
you're not
action.
wielding a melee weapon. Right, so she's going to
I also
pull
use
Amity
my
all the way
action.
to the base of the stairs.
Also, the one that grappled Casimir, did that one come within 5 feet of me?
Yes, it did.
Alright, I would like to stab him.
By all means, stab away.
That's a 22 to hit.
22 will hit. Give me some damage.
6 damage. I'm not sure if I get anything on top of that.
I don't know that you do. They're resistant, so it'll take only 3 damage.
Alright, cool.
All right, with that, the vampire will then bite Amity. Or attempt to. That is an 8 to hit, which misses. Pulling off to the side and attempting to bite onto you, and Amity, you had to throw up your hand, just blocking the vampire's jaws from reaching to the side of your neck, but struggling back and forth in a combat of strength. The Dragonborn more turning toward you, Erthrindir. It may be that we fall here, but we're not the only ones. The devil in Castle Ravenloft will come for you.
He will.
It may be wise to accept penance.
No, I think instead I'll put your damn soul to rest so you stop talking nonsense. How about that?
Then so be it! And he snarls toward you, lashing forth with claws. Alright, that's going to be an 8, which misses, and a 9. As he reaches for you, like, he actually catches onto you with part of his claws, hooking one of the fingers around your collar. And as you do, he pulls it back howling with pain as the radiance of the sword actually burns the top part of his knuckle, burning away that part of the finger. That is the end of their turn. Davian is up. He's going to take a pot shot with his crossbow at the drow spawn. Unfortunately missing. Squinting through the haze of the light in the melee, and his hand trembling very slightly, going wide over the top of the vampire's head. Casimir is up next. Eyes wide, he will chant a word under his breath and vanish in a swirl of mist, reappearing directly beside Kiva as he casts Misty Step. He will then raise a hand and lob a firebolt at the tiefling that had captured him. That's going to be, unfortunately, a low roll on the d20, smashing into the amber wall just over the tiefling's head and missing it. He snarls and does his best to ready himself for another volley. Metron, you're up.
Okay. Seeing Amity over there, grappled, looks at the crazed vampire woman, and just out of pure instinct, extends his hand. And when he clenches it, there's some of that flickering white gold flame, and I need her to make a dex save.
Come on.
All right. This is which one?
Sacred Flame.
This is the one in the wizard robe, right?
That's grappling
the
Amity.
one.
Yep. All right. Wisdom save. Got it.
Dex
Or
save.
dexterity save. That is a natural 1.
Oh, are you kidding me? So that's going to be 7 points of radiant damage.
All right.
Roll like ass on damage, people. I can't stand it. And that's my turn.
Shrieks, doing this strange dance, a swirl of pain as these glittering motes of sacred light descend around her, burning away at the flesh. Actually burning away at the lips sufficiently. Her face takes on an almost skeletal visage, horrifying to behold as she snarls down toward Amity. Still pulling her up toward the stairs. Is that the end of your turn?
How badly do these vampires look right now?
They are all looking very rough.
Okay.
That sunlight is chewing through them.
Then yeah, that's my turn.
All right, very good. Ismark will take his go, stepping up next to Kiva and making some attacks against the drow vampire. Swirling into the forms of the sword and slicing crosswise with the long sword and the short sword at the side. That's 2 hits with the long swords. Dealing 12, that's 6 points of slashing damage. Then crossing beside and stabbing upward with the short sword. That's a 13 missing, unfortunately, as the vampire moving with supernatural speed blurs just away from it, chest heaving. Hey, what's it? You could hurt someone with that thing. All right, and that is the end of Ismark's turn. Irina will go next, taking out a crossbow and letting a bolt fly toward the drow vampire as well. That is a 21, which hits, dealing 2 points of piercing damage, half to 1. She curses as it clips past his ear and begins reloading quickly. All right, we're back at the top of the round. Amity, you're up.
Cool. How wide is the sunlight aura? Is it covering all the vampire spawn right now?
Yeah, it's filling up the room.
Great. Then Amity's just going to say to the one grappling her, serious question. Do you understand that you're burning to death in exchange for a drop of my blood? Is this what you want? I win by doing nothing. Like, I know you used to be a person, and I'm embarrassed by your attempt at accomplishing something here. She's taking the dodge action.
All right, very
she's
good.
Not casting vicious mockery.
Yeah, I was gonna
Hey,
say
that was a read.
The vampire just snarls and bares her teeth in what looks like an almost smile. I like you. Don't worry. There's plenty darkness upstairs for the both of us. All right. Is that the end of your turn?
Yeah, that is the end of my turn.
All right, Kiva, you're up.
Heck yeah. So I am going to make this first attack at the drow.
Go for it.
Oh, that's not very good. It's a 14 to hit.
A 14 unfortunately misses. He blurs, blocking your blow by curling his clawed fingers through the air.
All right. Well, since she missed on the first one, she's just going to use the second one to attack him again.
All right, go for it.
20.
20 will hit.
That's 8, and then I am going to expend a spell slot to Divine Smite.
Nice.
So that's 2d8, and then I get the extra 1d8 from Radiant.
And you also get an extra 1d8
right.
from the Sun Sword.
Oh, from the Sun Sword, yep.
So 48 total, I believe.
Take 14 on top of that.
14 on top of that. All right,
So
you bring
8
the
and
sun
14,
sword
yeah.
slamming down, and he screams as it chews through him, radiant light and flames bursting forth, and the white embers chewing through his body and leaving nothing but dust behind.
That was really, really cool of me. All right, that's her turn.
Okay. That's the end of your turn. Esmeralda is up. She's going to glance on both sides, see Lillison, and lash toward her and the half-orc vampire with her rapier. It's a 23 to hit, dealing 8 points of damage. The half-orc vampire grunts, the grip on Lillison loosening just slightly as blood goes dribbling past the lips, and Esmeralda whirls and attacks a second time. 20, that'll hit. Dealing 11 points of damage, sticking the vampire spawn right through the throat with the rapier and twisting. He goes down hard. Alright, she's going to turn with a hand axe and slam toward the vampire spawn to her north. 16, which hits. Dealing 5 points of slashing damage. And that is the end of her turn. Lillison, you're up.
All right, Lillison is going to glance over towards Ez and say, I am rather surprised that you didn't follow up on the one who pricked your pride.
Esmeralda shoots you a grin. Oh, please. I have a stronger ego than that.
She smiles back and then casually just waves her hand in the direction of the vampire spawn to Ez's north, casting poison spray. Con save, please.
Ooh.
All right, rather happily. That is a 5.
That is
Failure.
17 damage.
Jesus. That's a lot of damage.
That is
Begins
a good
foaming
roll
at
on
the mouth.
2d12.
Black veins bulging around the undead flesh. Shit, 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 shit! Alright, that is the end of his round, or his response to your attack. Is that the end of your turn?
It
You're
is
no longer
not.
grappled.
Lillison is going to casually shimmy over this way. Excuse me, Rahidin.
Alright. As you do, the tiefling vampire turns toward you, eyes wide and burning, dripping a black ichor from the poison. You think you know what you're doing, but you can't. There's no beating him. You're all gonna fall in the end.
Lillison just looks over and says, who said anybody was going to beat him? And then looks at Erthrindir and looks at the vampire spawn next to Erthrindir and says, upper right torso.
Thank you.
And that's the end of her turn.
Alright, Erthrindir, you're up.
Aerith will cheerfully take that advice as he brings his sword down, less in like something elegant and more of a hammer blow, with the familiar magic of the green flame blade cantrip mixing with the black still wisping around him from the fireball. So let's see if this hits. $18?
18 will hit. Roll some damage.
Radical. So that is 16 total.
16. You
And
slam.
6 of that is slashing.
All right, you bring it down, crackling with green fire through the air, and slam it, carving down through the shoulder as you watch it split gruesomely. He coughs, burbling dark blood, and as the flames begin to lick across his body like a corpse, he looks up at you with dead eyes, crumpling to his knees. You think yourselves so mighty. So once did we. What makes you think you can win?
Nothing. But we beat you.
So you did. And he goes down, falling to the floor in a crumpled pile that slowly burns with the green flames. Is that the end of your turn?
Yeah. He has the feeling everyone else has this in hand.
All right, and so you do as the two remaining vampires begin their turn. The tiefling begins backing away from Esmeralda, holding his hands up in a deflective blow. The red-robed female wizard, snarling, baring her fangs toward Amity, and then shrieks as the radiance of the sun sword flares, blazing like the radiance of a nova. No! No! Damn you! And her voice cuts off as she screams, shrieking. The tiefling holding his hands, swaying back and forth as the radiance of the light shoots through them, burning them up alive and reducing them to piles of unseeing ash. And so ends the combat.
Oh, Randy, I'm sorry.
What are you sorry about?
He gestures at your blue dress, which I assume wasn't magical and therefore set on fire when you set yourself on fire.
I was hoping mage armor would protect me from that.
I would say mage armor does, in a sense.
All right, I retract that.
No, it's still covered in soot.
Yes, you're gonna have to get some dry cleaning done.
Oh, I'm gonna have to launder this, and I look terrible in black.
What do you mean? You look fine in black. Everybody looks fine in black.
Yeah, I mean, it's black is a universal color.
You know, that's fair. It just doesn't feel very elfin, you know? That being said, is everyone alright?
Amity wipes the soot off her arms sadly. I'm completely unharmed, actually. They're deluded.
Yeah.
Kiva just looks over at Ez, and does anyone else have holy water on them?
Nope.
Should we sprinkle some on the piles if we have it?
Esmeralda shakes her head. Not to worry. They are vampires, not flame skulls. I do not believe they should rejuvenate. Not as they've been burned and consecrated by sunlight.
Flame skull PTSD will be like.
You seem to be good, though.
Love, you look like a pile of piss. And Metran slaps Kiva on the shoulder and gives her something.
I just love the vibe check cures that we pass back and forth.
It's going to be 3 points of healing.
Hey, it's great.
While everybody is checking up on each other, Lilson is sort of slowly making her way across the room, but she sees all the soot marks on the ground from where the fireball was, and she's just sort of self-consciously backs up against the edge of the room, probably the edge of the staircase, and sort of edges around the room instead of directly crossing that space.
So we're getting out of here, right? I mean, there's nothing in here. I mean, whatever was in here clearly attacked us, so...
Casimir holds up a hand hesitantly and then looks toward Kiva, licking his lips. Actually, I must say that this room seems much more richly appointed than the others that we found these... And he sweeps a hand across the room. Sarcophagi in. Would you mind... just in case.
Of
These
course.
are what we're looking for.
No, she is very quickly just going to swipe her hand across the cuts from the vampire on the ungilded side of her face and just do her full lay on hands to give herself some beef back.
All right, healing for how much?
She's going to use the full 15, so she's going to bounce herself back up.
All right.
And then, since the west one was the one that got singed a little bit, right?
That's right.
She's going to go over to the east side and sort of like motion for Casimir to come up with her. And then she'll put a hand on the thing, the sarcophagi, to see if it'll talk to her.
All right, and as you do, you notice the wisp of shadow silently pushing, straining toward you, and as you make contact with that wisp of darkness, you hear a voice, hoarse and rasping, echo in your mind, twisting with strange, aberrant resonances, speaking as if with many voices. I offer the dark gift of Zudun, the corpse star. Would you receive the power to raise the ancient dead?
Kiva hesitates for a moment before looking over at Casimir. Out of... This might be a meta question, you can tell me to fuck off. Is there an alignment requirement for this one that I would need to know about?
Nothing that Kiva is aware of. All she knows is that this thing just spoke to her and offered a dark gift.
Okay, she's gonna do sort of like what she did with the last one and try to ask and see, like, what's the catch here?
There is a moment of pause, and then the many voices return. There is. Only the gift that we offer. Would you have the ancient dead raised by your hand?
See, Kiva was probably the wrong person to ask this because she does, in fact, have ancient dead that she would like to raise. Presuming the dark gift works outside of Barovia, that is.
You don't know. Would she like to take it? These many swirling, aberrant voices, coaxing, begging, offering.
She looks at
like the power to
Casimir,
raise the ancient dead?
and she takes it.
Okay. As you do,
I'm gonna regret this.
the others across the room watch as the wisp of darkness inside the sarcophagus seems to exhale very faintly, and a wisp of shadow extrudes from the point of contact, beginning to melt over Kiva's skin. Rippling shadows like many folds of dark fabric, winking, blinking like strange eyes running down over her flesh. And as they do, you watch in each place they touch, the veil falling away, leaving behind dark, grayed, rotted flesh, bones and black veins, her face reduced to a skeletal appearance. And for a moment, her eyes swirl with darkness. I need you to make a charisma saving throw, please.
Ooh, this is gonna be fun. 20.
You feel the darkness swirling across your skin begin to collect in your chest, somewhere in your stomach. You feel that small core of flickering fey light sear and burble beneath the weight of it as this ocean of dark, inky blackness threatens to cover over that core of who you are. And then you see her face. Their faces. And you remember who you're doing this for. And grunting, gritting your teeth, you draw on that fey power at the base of your very self of being. And your body shines for a moment with glimmering fey, green, purple, blue, yellow lights shifting and transfixing like the northern lights. And then they vanish, leaving only you. Your form reduced to its shriveled, corpse-like state. As you look down, you see that one of your hands has begun to decay, the flesh pulling back to reveal tendons, rotted muscles, and bones poking through.
What did you do?
Inside, you feel like you.
What the fuck did you just do?
Kiva, puts her hands on her face and feels the, rotting. She looks at her hands. And she just says, I'm getting my daughter back.
Metreon, by this point too, given how much time has elapsed, the Rahadin disguise sheds off into flakes, and she just sees him there. His eyes are just getting bleary, and he's starting to step away from her. She can definitely pick up the fear in his eyes. And he starts to draw his rapier, and with shaking hands starts to just, still down by his side, but pointing the tip up towards her, just keeps looking at her.
Now, question.
Yes?
She's still holding the sun sword. It's not fucking her because she looks that way, right?
Nope.
She's not actually undead. She just looks like a corpse.
I mean, you don't feel any pain from the sunlight. It feels as warm and cheery and welcoming as ever. Just the flesh of self you see beneath its light is unpleasant to look at.
Kiva just sends a little message to the sun sword, who is now her best friend, and is just we're gonna get Ava back. We're gonna get her back. And does nothing. Doesn't say anything else.
You feel, sending back through the bond, a slight bit of trepidation and a small thrum of concern, but then it vanishes, and you feel only that burning steel of will and defiance sinking with your own.
Yeah. This is fucked. I'm really glad I did that, actually. I'm vibing with this hardcore.
As all of that...
Yep. What's Lillison doing?
As all of that is happening, Lillison has been edging towards the sarcophagus to the west and trying to just stay as unobserved as possible. With trembling fingers, she reaches out for it.
Okay. I would presume that everyone's attention is focused on Kiva right now?
Yeah.
Earthrendeer wasn't here, so I think it's safe to say he was not looking at Kiva, else he would have said something. So I think he is probably paying attention elsewhere.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Lillison, your fingers just brush ever so gently against the amber block behind you. And in that moment, you hear a voice whispering darkly into your mind. I offer the dark gift of the vampire, the immortality of undeath. Will you accept my gift?
Lillison's lips barely move, and she barely articulates her response. There is another who has already offered a similar gift. Is this his or yours to offer?
It is mine. Will you accept it?
Her eyes dart around. She catches Erthrindir's gaze for a moment, and then she closes her eyes and says, yes.
For anyone not watching, there is nothing to be seen, nothing to be heard, nothing near the display that Kiva rendered. But for anyone watching and listen, or perhaps out of the corner of their eye, there is a small, faint shimmer of darkness that wisps across her pale skin and then vanishes into the center of her chest. Wilson, I'm sending you certain details by private message right now.
Excellent.
Aerith steps over to her, his eyes wide, just keeping contact, and lays his own hand on the stone. What are you?
There's no response. It's silent.
What did you do?
Lillison lets her hand fall from the sarcophagus. She reaches out and touches Erthrindir's shoulder gently, and she gives him just a warm little smile. This one is where he got his powers from.
And I presume by the fact that I can't hear anything anymore, that is where also you got yours.
I received nothing.
Don't lie to me. Not again. Please.
Her hand tightens a little bit on his shoulder. It offered me a gift. I have received nothing that I can tell.
But you said yes. Corellian, have mercy on us all. And he steps away.
I don't want to die again.
I would argue if you're becoming like him, that is exactly what you're going to do. I don't want you to die either. I know it hurt. I know there's things much worse than hurt, too. But if you can, if you still have the power, if the gift is not yet realized, then please, don't.
Her smile just grows a little bit. What is Amity doing?
That's a great question. Amity's checking out the other sarcophagus, which I think is not going to be useful, but let's see what it says.
You lay a hand across the south sarcophagus, and the dark wisp of shadow within is silent and unmoving. You hear nothing.
This one's empty. Either that or it doesn't care to talk.
Metron, who hasn't stopped looking at Kiva, calls out to Casimir. I think she's got your gift. Let's hope that they give out another. And Kiva could see just the mounting disappointment in Metron's face. Kaz, gonna touch it or not?
He gives a start and quickly nods, stepping forward. He looks at Kiva in wonderment and swallows. This is it. What did it tell you? What did it offer?
To bring back the ancient dead. I'm sorry, Casimir. I have a
Feels
child.
again. No, there's no need to apologize. I hope you find what you're looking for, as I hope I do. He eyes your undead visage for a moment, closes his eyes, takes a deep breath, and then exhales, and then steps forward and places his palm against the sarcophagus. But a moment passes, a heartbeat, before you see his lips silently whisper the word yes, tears faintly drifting down his cheeks. And as you watch that same veil of shadows whips out, covering over his flesh, cascading down his sides and leaving in its wake rot and decay and ancient bones, the appearance, the visage of the undead. As he steps back, his appearance reduced to a ghoulish, undead appearance. His voice only faintly trembling, he says, Right then. I've got what I came for. And he turns toward the group of you and gets down onto his knees and bows deep to the floor. I cannot thank you enough for what you've helped me do. If you would have me, I would accompany you to Castle Ravenloft, to the crypts and catacombs beneath the castle, so that I can resurrect my sister.
Kiva looks at Casimir for a moment and then pulls him into this like ridiculously tight hug.
He grunts with surprise, and then wheezes faintly. Good to know that I still breathe, at least. And he looks down at his wrist, where you can see kind of the tendons and bones poking through. Well, that's new. I imagine there's some sort of illusionary magic I could learn.
Yeah, no, see, we'll be fine. And since there's two of us now, we get back our family, and we'll be really good Hallows Eve decorations.
Right. Good to know.
She does give him a look, though, of like understanding and like sort of wordlessly saying, like, I get you and I feel you and I now understand what this meant to you. And
as you do,
yeah.
As you do, he nods and meets your gaze directly, and looking into his eyes, you search there for a moment in his irises for that wisp of darkness that you felt attempting to intrude into your own sense of being, and thankfully see only Casimir staring out back at you. Gives you a nod and a small, shaky smile, and says, turning back to the group, Right then. Is there anything more that we need to do here?
Metron looks around the room and sees everyone at these sarcophagi and looks at Casimir and Kiva, who both become rotted and decayed, and then looks up at Esmeralda. She's all yours now. And Metron's going to climb up the steps and go out through the treasury that we came through. And as he does, he doesn't even look at the piles of gold or electrum or anything like that. He's just walking towards the exit.
Earthrendir looks back at Lillison one last time and sort of still letting her hold on to him, said, I'd thought about some things when we got out of here. That once we were done, I would have liked to take some time and walk with you. There's beaches I wanted to show you in the sun, cafes, parks, some booksellers I know. I guess it was foolish of me to have dreams here. Good luck, if this is what you wanted. And I hope it is exactly what you wanted. Yes, he's saying this to Lillison. Or, I'm sorry, that...
Lillison just watches him slowly and just slowly shakes her head. And she says, "That does sound like a lovely dream for the people who can live to enjoy it."
And he's joining Metreon.
Okay. That's Metron and Earthinger exiting the chamber. Davy and Irina and Ismark just looking around with just quiet looks of horror, discomfort, like difficult to tell. Esmeralda watching the two of them go, and just closes her eyes and says, "Right then. Is there anything else we need here, or did we want to investigate the mother of the castle?"
Kiva, Lillison, Amity.
Lillison shrugs and follows the disappointed boys out at a safe distance.
Esmeralda sighs, her shoulders slumping. Right, I guess we'll discuss our next steps outside. She gives those remaining a nod and says, "Assuming there's nothing else here, I guess we'll regroup outside the temple." And she gives a final lingering nod, lips pursed toward the piles of ash where the vampire spawn once lay, watching Lillison go, and then following after her.
Kiva would probably be one of the last ones out. And yeah, she's just sort of like adjusting her hair to hide her face a little bit more. She takes off some of the like spoils of the day and puts them in her bag. Yeah, adjusts to being corpse bride mommy.
Okay. Is there anything else anyone would like to do before making their way outside?
No.
No.
Okay. In that case, each one after the other, steps outside, leaving the Amber Vault behind, passing by the vaults and piles of treasure, steps echoing in the dark vastness of the temple chamber, over the rubble of the great statue that once watched from the darkness of secrets, and exiting the temple to the outside.
As Aerith's kept pace with Metreon, he just looks over at him, his eyes just undefinably sad, and says, "I thought I'd finally found somebody I could trust. Damn fool of me. She told me exactly what she was from the moment I met her. She's never lied to me. I've just been too much of a fool to stop believing."
Remember how I said I think I was going to get out of here?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, I still feel the same way.
You've got company now.
Metron goes back towards where I assume the stone dome is still up, right? The thing that Cat's
so
made.
you exit the front facade of the temple and once more onto the snowy plain of Mount Gacchus. Trudging through the snow, each one of you, the frozen ground cracking and crunching beneath your boots. One by one, you return to the stone shelter, the wind whistling, the snow flurrying through the air just outside. And eventually, I presume, unless anyone wants to do anything in the meantime, each one of you enters the stone shelter.
Yeah, I'd say Metreon probably got in there first, and as he does, he just passes by and shoots a firebolt into the fire pit, and goes to the very opposite side of the stone dome. Just sits there looking at the fire.
Aerith, without a word, steps past him and starts delicately putting wood into it, sitting on the other corner of the room.
Lillison does not go in. She is going to sit down outside the dome and just let the drifting snow slowly cover her.
Kiva, now sort of realizing the depth of the reaction that she's gotten, will stay away from the others. Inside the dome, obviously, because she still feels cold. But she does look very sadly over at Metreon. And that's it.
One by one, the rest of your companions trudge inside and take up their positions in or around the fire. And there's silence for a moment, a minute, a dozen. Who's the first to break it?
It's not going to be Metreon.
Not going to be Aerith today.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm
That's true.
outside, so...
Yeah.
Anything
Silence
from Amity?
continues forever.
Amity, please save us.
Or he just talks to Muppet. Oh, Muppet can save us. Good luck, Muppet.
Aerith will break
So,
it. Yeah.
So,
No, go for
Kiva,
it.
what'd you find in that coffin? You know what? Sure. So, Kiva, what'd you find in that coffin?
Kiva sort of like raises an eyebrow at Amity, like, do you not see me right now?
Oh, I see. So you look like an undead right now, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
very much corpse bridey.
yeah.
Like the side of her face that had the gold scars still has the gold scars, but that's where like the hole in her cheek is. Because like that was the side of her skin that was already weak. I'm imagining a whole design for her right now. It's gonna be sick as fuck.
I'm excited.
But
Do
she
you feel like
go ahead.
fine?
There was a moment I wasn't sure. There was this darkness, like a black shroud, and it was threatening to fill me up from the inside. But then I thought of my daughter, and I thought of my mother, and I thought of all of you. And why I'm here, and what I am doing, and what I have the chance to get back if we win. And it was me. It was me again. And the Sun Sword and I are still connected. And I think it shares... It understands, which means more to me than you could possibly know after realizing the cost. But
I would do anything for Ava, and if I have the chance to give her a life, I would do anything, even if it means looking like this. Anything.
I was hoping that maybe some of you learn a lesson from our own mistakes, but I guess not.
I can't expect you to understand, any of you to understand what I did or why I did it, but
I do.
I am still me, and I'm still going to help. And she just sort of like looks like she's just going to start breaking down.
I can't blame you. I'm angry, and a thousand other things. But if the people I'd lost were still within reach in the way your daughter is, then I can't say I wouldn't have done the same. I hope you're happy. I hope the two of you get to have a life. I hope the cost is not more than you can bear.
If we get out of here, when we get out of here, and I go back to her, I'll take her home, my proper home, and I have faith that someone will know what to do. It'll be worth it, like I said. I have a chance, a real chance, to take care of her, to do right by her, to undo the mistakes of my past, and to make sure that nothing hurts her again. I would take it again. And again, if I had to.
Earth nods, his eyes unhappy but understanding. Then may your life together be full of spring. It will be.
Fabian coughs. Right then. So, I can't pretend to know everything that's been going on here, and I wouldn't suppose to offer my own thoughts on the matter. But the stay is still young yet, and Zarevich can be doing anything at the bottom of this mountain back in the castle. While we're up here. Are we staying another night? Waiting for the sun to set?
No.
Are we heading
Not
into
one
the
more
temple?
instant in this infernal place. We load the cart with the most valuable, least weighty treasure we can find, and we leave.
He nods. Right then. If you like, I ain't so good with hauling stuff back and forth, but if one of you would deign to accompany me, I wouldn't mind nipping off to take another look at that model of the castle. Let you know if I find anything interesting.
I'll be there in a minute. I'll follow you.
He nods. Alright then. He spreads his hands. Take however long you need, but whenever you're all ready. Around how long are you going to stay here before heading back inside? And who is going back inside?
Oh, if we're going to be sitting here for an hour, somebody should identify that wand.
Aerith probably can only stand the silence for about 20 minutes before he stands up and hustles after Davian.
Okay. If anyone would like to stay behind and inspect the wand while the others pack the wagon and look at the castle, Lilith, if you'd like to do that, you can. Or you can
I
go
would
with the
like to
others.
do
It's up
that.
to you. All right. So while Lilith inspects it, Davian and Aerthrindir head inside to the castle model. Is everyone else packing up the wagon?
No, Metron is staying exactly where he's been, not saying anything. Staring at the fire.
All right. Are there any PCs who are interested in leading the wagon loading?
Kiva can help Ez, and maybe not. I don't know. She's just gonna feel the vibe of what does Ez think? Is Ez looking away in horror? Did she lose 2 of her friends in one fell swoop?
As you move closer toward her, you see Esmeralda beginning to arrange the wagon, and she murmurs a word. You hear the sound, Dravesh, and the 2 draft horses magically appear within the harness and the reins. And she just sighs, not looking toward you, but just staring straight ahead, and says quietly, I understand. Without condemning or condoning, I understand.
Well, that means a lot. And I understand if, this sort of changes any, but anyway.
Well, let's worry about getting a vampire first, eh? And she flashes you a small, strange smile.
Kiva looks bewildered for a moment and then gives her a very respectful nod back. But there's a little bit of just admiration, I think, there. She'll help her reload the wagon.
Okay, so I believe we've got a list of things. Who wants to put things, just for the sake of going quickly, who's putting what things in their pockets and packs versus putting things in the cart? Because obviously you can only carry a limited number of things, and only a limited number of things can go in the wagon. Otherwise, we'll pull it up to the outside of the temple.
Treasure distribution.
Was there there was urns, or not urns, vases that were made of copper, right? Or jugs made of copper?
So yes, there were a number of, let me see if I can find this. There were
12 copper
15 iron
chalices.
pots. 12 copper chalices. If you're looking for things to put things in, there were also 15 iron pots. There was a trunk, which previously had the dresses and gowns in it. So if you're looking for things to put other things into, you can certainly find it.
Kiva's probably going to take one of the iron pots and just put her 6,000 silver pieces in there, because she doesn't need to carry them around. And that way she doesn't have it on her personal carry, but she knows that she has access to that money if she needs it.
Sure, so that's going in the wagon, I presume?
Yeah, in the iron pot.
Okay. Who else is taking what? I presume the life-size wooden pony and the gilded chariot are not being taken.
Sadly.
Wait, Lilson's not taking the chariot?
I presume that you would probably fill up the iron pots with as much high-denomination currency as you can?
Yeah. As far as non-coin things, Aerthrindir will take the obsidian scepter, a few of the tomes, the holy symbol of Corellian from the pile of holy symbols.
Okay.
And what else? He'd probably just fill the remainder of his pockets with silver.
Okay. So those are all things that you're putting in your satchel?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so there are iron pots. I'm just going to put this down with 6,500 EP, 21,000 SP, and 500 GP.
That works.
Okay.
I mean, we're not taking the fake gold. We're not that
Sure.
dumb.
No, I didn't think so. But
Are
there
you
are
taking
500
the
actual
Electrum?
gold pieces that I neglected to mention.
Aerthrindir has deeded the Electrum to Metreon. That's up to him. He's not touching it.
It's 3.3 thousand gold pieces worth. It's up to Metreon. Is
No,
Metreon taking it?
Metreon is taking none. He's not taking anything.
Oh, okay.
Than what he's already taken.
Gotcha. Amity, Lillison, any requests? Any requests from Earthrendir? Anything else that any of you would like to take with you?
A few copies of the book. Otherwise, just whatever's most valuable.
All right, just note that down on your page. And Earthrendir took the scepter, right?
Yeah.
And Kiva took the crown.
Yes, Kiva
And
has the
Metreon has
crown.
the skull.
Yeah. And she
Gotcha.
also has a holy symbol of Saloon, but that's in her backpack.
Okay, so you can take that as well. I would say beyond that, probably the most bang for your buck if you wanted to take it. There's not really anything that's hugely valuable. You could probably take the... you find about 30 gemstones worth around 50 gold pieces each. So if you want, you could put those in another iron pot and put those in the wagon.
Yeah. Prioritize gems, jewelry, and high-value currency, and fill the wagon with as much as that as we can reasonably acquire.
I would say with you putting all the pots together, you're able to fill them with the gold and silver and electrum and gems. Getting it, kind of nestling them in there tight. Esmeralda's like, watch it, don't tip over the alchemist's firebox. And kind of pushes that aside to make sure that there's room for everything else. And you're able to load up the wagon sufficiently. And while that's happening, Earthrendir, you and Davian head down the west wing of the upper floor of the temple, past the place where you left the ice staff on the floor and beyond the disintegrated remains of the flame skulls.
Yeah. And once they get to Ravenloft, is the model open-faced on its own, or are we going to have to hack it open to be able to look at the interior?
So as far as you can tell, there does not seem to be any way to access an interior. Like, you look in and the windows are just kind of carvings of windows. There doesn't seem to be an actual hollow interior. It seems to just be a outer model.
So the interior of the castle is not modeled at all.
Correct, but you can notice a number of things on the exterior. If you'd like it, you can go through it quickly and see.
Aerith will take the page that Amity gave him with the fairy tale and start putting together an architectural sketch of Ravenloft from a few angles.
Okay, and I'm guessing you're going to take as long as you need. Quote unquote, take 20 on this.
Yeah.
Okay, let me see what you find.
And I don't need the specifics here, just to know that I have it.
Yeah. So you have it down there. You can find information about the walls, the quadrants of the grounds. You can see the overlook looking over the mountain, the drawbridge and portcullis. There's a wide open roof tower with a descending staircase and a bridge leading into the tallest tower. You take down note of all of the entryways, front, rear, portcullises in the grounds. And you notice one interesting thing, kind of inspecting it closely, a strange stone construction protruding from the cliff face below the overlook with the windows looking out from it.
Interesting. Aerith will mark that down with a careful splotch of red and then keep notating.
And I'd say after the course of an hour or so, your compatriots finish packing their gold, you finish your sketch, and Lillison, you finish identifying the item. I'm going to put it in the magic items section of the items directory for you now.
Excellent.
Let me know if you'd like me to add it to your inventory. It is the Wand of Secrets.
I would like that in my inventory.
Okay. I'll add that in. And one by one, each of you comes retreating outside, filling the wagon with pots of gold, filling your pockets as much as you can carry. Earthrendir and Davian exiting to join the rest of you. Esmeralda closes the door on the wagon, puts her hands in her pockets and gives a nod. All right, then. I think we're good to go.
Right. So, down to the tower, spend the night, head into Valaki, pick up provisions. try and kill a vampire. 3 days. Maybe 2. Enjoy them, folks.
Metron, who didn't go fetch treasure or go to the mock-up of Castle Ravenloft, when you get back, you'd see that he's still by the fire, but this time he has a jar of ashes in his hand. You all would know who that is. And he's just kind of like turning it with his fingers, kind of letting the flame and the firelight reflect off the surface. And then when you all finish getting everything together, he stuffs it back into his pocket and rejoins you all silently.
At some point before they leave, possibly while he's alone by the fire, Aerith comes back a little early, sitting by his side, and says, "There's something you should know.
What's that?
The gift Lillison took. I'm not sure precisely, but I think it was the one to become something like Strahd is. A vampire."
Metron looks up from the fire for the first time during this whole rest, and looks at Earthadir with his brow furrowed, and there's at first a little bit of disbelief. Then he starts to look up in the direction where he hears Lillison and Kiva and everybody else outside, and then looks back down at the fire and doesn't say anything.
She's not one yet. I checked. Something about it not happening yet. I don't know what that means. But I wanted to make sure that you knew that I'm not alone in this, just in case.
Yeah, well, if we gotta kill 2 vampires, we gotta kill 2 vampires.
Guess we do. Thank you. And that's all.
Okay. With that, Esmeralda pulls herself up to the driver's seat of the wagon, holds the reins in her hands, and looks around. All right, then. Are you ready to go?
Metron shrugs his shoulders.
Yep.
She gives a small sigh and a nod, and then snaps the reins. Let's go. And that's as the wagon begins rolling down the mountain path, retreating from the facade of the Amber Temple that slowly falls away into the whirling snow and frost behind you, as your group trudges through the snow, down back once more towards Solenka Pass, and the shadow of Castle Ravenloft lurking in the distance. That's where we'll end today.
I would just like to do one thing, though, as we're walking.
All right.
Metron would be trailing behind, but as we're walking, he takes one last look at the Amber Temple and goes through his sack and reaches for the jewelry that he had and just chucks it back towards the front doors, the frontispiece, and keeps walking.
It twinkles faintly, the white-gray light reflecting off of the many-faceted gems and silver and gold bands. And then there's a rush, a gale of sudden snow that sweeps over it. And the twinkling light vanishes beneath the snow and ice. And that's where we'll cut it for this time.
And now we got level 9, right?
You do. Welcome to level 9, kids.
Ooh.
Yay!
Congratulations on your first level in your prestige class, Lillison. Vampire is quite something. Does mean you take like a 10 level penalty, but I think the benefits are
Oh my
worth
god, is this 3.5 now?
I don't know,
can it
Dragna,
be?
is it?
Serena, I'm gonna need your help because I guess we're running Expedition to Castle Ravenloft now.
Yay!
Oh, well, that was fun. I gotta say, I did not expect some of the stuff that happened in there.
I also didn't
Neither
expect to
did
come
I.
across 6 nice dresses.
Yeah, I didn't either. I mean,
Yeah, 6 nice dresses. That was so
Yeah.
cool.
We
Nice
needed
little
that.
surprise. Nice little win before the
Yeah.
crushing depression returned.
Now we're going to be able to like actually look nice when we go accept this invitation to have dinner with Strahd, which is absolutely just going to be like a nice normal dinner. With,
Yeah, of course.
polite
Absolutely.
conversation and music.
100%. He's gonna have like biscuits, steak, mashed potatoes. It's gonna be great.
Escher's going to recite some poetry.
I love that.
Oh, absolutely.
I will say Kiva's gonna mod her dress to reveal her corpse bride style exposed ribs and her like rotting leg. So I'll send you guys the corpse bride images for like reference.
That's
So
pretty
aesthetic.
metal.
I love it. Beautiful.
can't wait for
So
the fan
is-
art.
Is she going to have like the midriff bared and like this slit up the side? And...
Oh hell yeah, honey! You know that. You know that.
Nice.
Perfect.
Beautiful. Well, thank you to everyone for joining us today. As always, we will see you all back in the mists next week. Until then, beware the gifts of amber shadows and take care.